Real spoilers powered by ReviewSTL.com.
Warning, the following film discussion will ruin the ending of any movie you haven't seen. Example, Bruce Willis is dead at the end of The Sixth Sense. See how I ruined it for you? Just like that. Here are a few more.
Silent breed is people!
I am your father.
Get it?
Real spoilers. You've been warned.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers episode 747, The Flasher.
It's a very different movie.
Yeah. So this is our 10th anniversary
Look
episode.
at us.
And we began many, many years ago, 10 if you're counting, with Man of Steel, the beginning of the DC.
Correct, we did.
And this is the end.
Hopefully.
Tom's favorite movie.
Yes.
And the end of Real Spoilers. It's perfect.
Yeah, we're done. That's it.
Time has been with me on that. I was instantaneously like, this movie's bad, while everybody else was like, this movie's great. Then like 10 days later, everybody's like, I think that movie was bad.
Yep.
But let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Dan. This is Blake.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom. That's right. We've gotten the band back together. All 5 original members. So
That's right.
there we go.
And they're here permanently now.
Here we are.
Weekly. We'll see you guys next week.
Sunday.
We've chained them to the table.
Everyone can work from home now, right? It's,
Sure.
Yeah, Real Spoilers is very pro working remote.
Yes.
We can, yeah.
So I guess before we get in, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us. You never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always super helpful.
Somebody did.
Oh, somebody did.
Somebody did.
Okay.
Where is this from, Kevin?
Pod Chaser.
This is from D.W. Lundberg, who was actually our guest last week.
He's the only one who's ever circumvented the Brad Hyan rule the week after hosting.
Yes.
Because he left a review.
That's true. He did.
I've been contemplating changing the Brad Hyan rule
Okay.
to where it only applies to Brad Hyan.
I love it.
That's fair.
Let's do
fair.
it. That's fantastic. Real Spoilers has been spoiling the newest films. It's 5 stars, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
After the week after is on, just a 1-star review.
I used to like this show until I was on
and they are discombobulated. They don't know what they're doing.
They talked for 2 hours about Transformers, longer than the movie.
I did
What's
look at
happening
that. I
here?
did look at that time. I was like, God damn, what are we doing? Real Spoilers has
What
been
happens when
spoiling.
I'm not here with my clock?
That is also true. When I can't see the clock and I realize, oh no. Real Spoilers has been spoiling the newest films in style for 10 years running. And just listening to even a snippet of the show will tell you why it is one of the greatest, if not the greatest podcast experiences. And that's, there you go.
Well,
so
thank
thanks.
you.
That's
Thanks,
great.
Darren.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Thanks for circumventing
The Brad Hyan.
the Brad Hyan
So
rule.
is this might be the Darren Lundberg rule. If you're on the show and then review it
You get to
for
be
the
on,
next week,
You get to be on the show again.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the
Well done.
Darren Lundberg exception.
That's
There
right.
you go.
The
Yeah.
Darren Lundberg asterisk. That's what I think we'll call it. Yes. Where is that in the shameless plugs? Oh, yeah. We also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget, the group is called the League of Show Sharers because we're hoping you'll share an episode. Now, Dan, when he was on here all the time, when there were new show sharers, he would write little songs for them.
That's true.
So
These
these
are
are all technically new to you.
Get ready, buddy.
Yes.
I'm glad we have video now. This is great.
Yeah, yeah, you can see the looks instead of hear them. Although I like to think that you could still hear them.
No, yeah.
Oh.
Dan's groans of disappointment in all of us were
Yes.
very easily.
And I still hear sometimes when I'm at a movie and I get to a point where I know Dan would groan or we say something, it's like I just hear him. It's
that's
like a
every
little
day.
Force ghost.
That's every day in my life, though. Anytime I do
my
something,
God.
I was like, man, Dan would not approve of that.
So anyway, here we go.
If I reviewed movies based on groans, it's still gonna have to be that one Riddick where he straightened
Vince?
Katie
Yes,
Sack
Yes,
off.
yes,
still
which
bring-
we did on the show.
Yeah.
We did
We
that
still
one.
bring
yeah.
that up.
Yeah, it is because I don't know that I've ever that outwardly groaned so much in the movie where I was like, I was even like kind of. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't even know what's happening. I can't control it.
Vin Diesel's like, there's a disturbance in the force. What was that? I don't know.
So anyway, people who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Tom Dowdy, Tammy Lynn Powers, Betts, Lane Levanway, Julianne Jordan, Chris Magic Man, Phil Timon, Chris Falls, Gabriel Lugo, Jeff Michael, Travis Tewitt, Heather Sachs, Maria Salinas. That is definitely a new one.
There you go, Dan.
Hey, Maria.
Perfect.
There you go.
There it is.
Josh Rosen, Christopher Rex, Invasion of the Remake, Geek to Me Radio, Dan and Nancy Tweet the Movies, Fehl and Film, Mike and Oscar, Spoiler Piece Theater, Ronnie Castle, Binge Movies, Colby Mack, Ryan Terry, Matt Naglia, In Session Film, and of course, Tom O'Keefe.
There it is. Well done.
So
Wait, is that a new one?
Tom O.
There it is.
I think you just stole the O'Reillys.
But very poorly.
Oh, Joe hit him with a yow.
Yow.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
There was always
Yeah.
So
We should say that I feel like a lot of those names have been with us for a very long time.
they have. Yeah.
So thank you guys
Absolutely.
for sticking around for 10 years. That's
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool.
It's crazy to look at. I mean, just when I was going through the old pictures and walking down memory lane, and I'm just like, 10 years of this?
Yeah, one of them just popped up not too long ago was the guys that we had that did Everest.
Yeah.
Like those two brothers that like walked, or were they
They
there?
went to base camp. I think.
Is that what it was?
They were going to scale, and then there was like an earthquake.
Yeah, then the
and
then
they
the
had
earthquake hit.
They had
Yeah,
they had to
yeah.
bail.
But
That was a
still,
cool
like,
episode.
just getting to the point where they did is more than any of us
Yeah.
like have
No
ever.
thanks.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll look at base camp maybe through binoculars.
In the movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've been to that ride at Disney World. That's about as close as it gets. Yeah.
That's plenty. Oh yeah, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you more.
Yeah, and we
YouTube.
And YouTube.
We are on
Don't
YouTube.
forget.
Yeah.
We had the Basler bump a couple weeks ago.
We
Now I
did
think
get the
we have-
Basler bump.
We've got the Lumberg leap. We've got almost 1,000 views in less than
Oh, dang, for real?
just a few days on Transformers. So.
Well, I just I put it on repeat.
Oh, is that what you're? Oh, that's you working.
Man, Blake, you're the man.
Come
That's
to find
so
out in
good.
the analytics, it's one person. Every time our episode gets more and more views.
Been running nonstop.
I have like
constantly.
14 browsers going at once. It's just
Womp womp.
Our Incredible Hulk episode just went up since Real Spoilers was not in existence yet when MCU Phase 1 started.
And we timed it perfectly because the Incredible Hulk hit Disney Plus the day we released that.
Yeah, we
episode.
timed that perfectly.
that.
On purpose. Yeah. And then Iron Man 2 just got recorded on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's all of that. Let's dig in.
Boy, am I glad these movies are ending.
You gonna like this one?
I didn't like a lot of it.
Really?
Yeah.
It didn't answer the biggest question I had, which was if the Flash had given himself a hand job, would it be gay or would it be masturbation?
There it is. Right on the money.
Just right in the mic.
We
Let's
are-
get that mic. Get that Miranda right out of the gate.
I mean, it can be both.
That's fair. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
I think this movie was middle tier DC.
I think that's fair.
See, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was
What is
fun.
happening
It
right
was-
now?
yeah, wait a minute.
Not
You don't
the way
like
I
Man
saw-
of Steel,
I
but
did
you
not-
like-
I did not see that coming
I
at
thought
all.
it was fun. Like I had zero expectations. I
Yeah.
thought this was a fun movie. I mean, it's
I'm in the same boat.
is it great? Is it great? No, but like compared to the other DC movies,
Totally fair.
for me, it probably goes like Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And then
Shazam?
and then this. Probably.
But that's what I mean. It's all relative. Like,
Well,
yeah,
sure.
I think this is fun too. Like, I don't think this is
It's top tier
bad,
DC.
but
It's middle tier Marvel.
but I mean, I think that we just
When a
got
C- when a C student turns in B work, he gets an A.
Aquaman's fun too.
Yeah.
I think this is right in the middle of the DCU
Yeah.
stuff.
I would
which
put
is,
Aquaman right below this.
oh,
I would put it above it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. But
See, I
that,
hated Aquaman.
oh,
I absolutely
Interesting.
I thought
absolutely
Aquaman was
hated
fun,
that
but
movie.
the story makes zero sense.
None whatsoever.
It's just
It's a big
just
dumb
fun.
action movie.
but when there's people saying that this is the greatest
That's
comic book
ridiculous.
film
That's
ever
ridiculous.
made, like that, I just can't.
No, and like, I mean, more of my problems with this movie were not the story. The story was, I mean, a bit ridiculous, but I kind of expected that going in. Anytime you try to adapt like a Flash
Giant,
time travel
yeah.
narrative, it's gonna be a bit wonky.
And this one's been adapted a lot.
Yeah.
And it's only
in a
and
lot
the-
of formats.
The story's only 10 years old.
12 years old,
Like, it's
yeah.
not like it's a story from the 80s, you know?
But they did a pretty good job of
It's not
adapting
Days of Future
Flashpoint.
Past.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, even like, I mean, you could do Crisis, right?
Right.
Like, that's from the 80s.
Well,
Flash
they kind of did.
sort of did. Yeah, right. But Flashpoint came out in like 2009.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
a, but you
earlier.
know, it's a really good story, and it's short enough where I think they feel like they can adapt it in one film rather than doing like an Avengers style build-up.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fairly
Which
short,
is the DC way.
right? But
Cram it all into one movie.
But Flashpoint, so they have that animated film, Justice
which is
League: The
good.
Flashpoint Paradox, which is amazing, and it adapts the comic almost page for page.
Yeah.
It was a great job. This does a really good job, I think, of pulling things from it, but enough originality to where, if you've read the comic and seen the animated movie, you're still like, okay, this is different. They change enough.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just think that Jeff Johns has been a producer on all of this stuff, and he can't wait to get all of his stories into movies so he can make more money. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
What I would do.
Yeah, well, and that's what he's done. And I just think that there's more to The Flash than this. I am not pleased that Mark Waid's name has been left off of this movie completely, considering he's the guy that created the Speed Force. Like, a massive part of this movie that Mark Waid created, and they don't...
How do they not
Did they
give him...
use the word Speed Force?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Barry does.
Was it in here?
Yeah. But they don't put his name on it at all,
Yeah,
which I think is ridiculous. And we've said before, anything you know about The Flash that you like about The Flash is from Mark Waid and Jeff Johns.
Sure.
Like, that second volume of the comic is everything. They've never gone back to the Silver Age Barry Allen.
So what do you think that is? Is he getting Bill fingered?
Mark Maraca.
I mean, yeah, come on. I do think that Mark Waid has had a very tumultuous relationship with DC, and that was because of Dan DiDio, who was the guy that was in charge. Dan DiDio is now out, so Mark Waid has been brought back. If you don't know anything about Mark Waid is probably one of the best comic book writers of the last 30 years.
Yeah,
I would say.
Great. I
Dude,
got
his
all
Flash
that.
run is
Oh,
awesome.
it's amazing.
I've got all that Flash stuff.
Yeah,
It
it's
is great.
so good. He created Kingdom Come, like he was, part of that whole stuff. So I don't know. I don't know why they would be that stupid to leave him off. I don't know.
Because everybody knows. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's not like Bob Cade, he had the, of the time, he was able to just sort of like suppress that.
Yeah, he's like,
I
can I
mean,
just erase that off?
Yeah,
of there?" Okay,
you can't
cool.
really
Thanks.
do that. Everybody knows.
Yeah, like Mark Waid's name is on the front cover of
Right.
every single one of those comics.
That's weird. I didn't realize he was left
He was
off
left
of
off of
credits.
it. Yeah, yeah.
But Flashpoint 2 is a really good opportunity to reboot things, right? Because, I mean, that's what they needed to do with the DCEU, and we do see changes that will end up by the end.
Did they go in thinking they were going to reboot, though?
I think so.
You do?
Because even before James Gunn came on board,
Yeah, they were...
they
knew they had to address
Snyder
something.
was out, and they had to change things. So I think that it's really smart where it's like you've got a concise story, fits in a couple hours, it reboots things at the end, and they already had that blueprint.
Does it?
Yeah,
reboot
I mean,
things?
this is the biggest.
Well, it leading in New 52.
This is DC's Deus Ex Machina
so
moment.
it's kind of...
Yeah, it allows them to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah,
That's
it exists. People know it. They don't. It's not like a hard sell.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
got this thing. It's like, well, whatever we do, I mean, we can do. We can
Right.
change it. We can right the ship.
They etch-a-sketched
They
it.
had Ezra appear on the TV show. Briefly.
That's true. They did. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Which
were-
also meant that
they
Grant
were like,
Gustin
oh.
could be... And it's
Wow.
like, where is he?
I would like to say it 10 years ago. I was bitching about this very thing, and I'm still, but it's like,
Right.
The main thing, I don't like this characterization of Barry Allen. I think
He's
like
a bit too goofy for me.
he's borderline there
on the spectrum.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Yeah.
I liked the Barry Allen in the other movies when we got little bursts of him,
like the
no pun
Peter
intended.
Parker Barry Allen.
I was like, was he always like this? I don't remember that.
I think they amped it up, and
Yes.
that was the beginning of this movie was torture to sit through.
Oh, my-
the beginning scene, and I don't mind. I think it was fun. They came up with a thing with the babies, but him at that coffee shop was like, I mean, that's the first scene of the movie, and I'm going, this is what we're.
I do like the idea that Barry is like anytime that somebody's like wasting his time, like he cannot. I do like that aspect.
concept
of it.
is fine,
Because where
but
he's just
the-
like, can you
the-
move? Like I am,
The interaction between those two, though,
Oh,
was
boy.
like I felt like I was the Flash watching it in slow motion. But I think we should bring up the Ezra in the room, though. I think that Ezra has, I think, been enjoyable. I think they were funny in the other movies. I think in Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, Barry Allen is funnier and isn't lacking the confidence that the character lacks in this movie. And so to start it off like that, I thought it was kind of odd because they were like funny. They were awkward, but funny and more.
they were a rookie. They were a rookie
Yeah.
in a room full of gods, right? And also the fact that they retconned him into Metropolis during the whole Zod
yeah.
thing. It's like,
yeah.
why don't we just fucking put everybody there now?
Well, I
like,
mean,
what are we doing?
They had already done it with Bruce Wayne.
I'm saying, and they did it with.
Who else was there?
Why didn't they wave at each
But
other?
they, I
Because
know,
like Bruce Wayne
but
was
they
there.
did it
same
with
thing.
Victor
were they on the
Stone,
same
right?
Yeah.
street?
That's
everybody
everybody on the
like
same
it.
street.
Everybody
yeah.
was there.
Except for Diana.
But
Yeah.
my
Like she's
point,
the only one.
Give it time.
Yeah.
so I think the character was funny and likable in the other movies to decent extent, and it's really hard because Ezra Miller, with all the problems, I think that it makes it hard to watch this film and enjoy the character that would be more likable had they not done all this
I've
stuff.
never really liked Ezra Miller's portrayal. Like the character has always been a bit too goofy for me.
Yeah.
And like that's not really Barry Allen, like, to me.
I totally agree with you.
Wally West, I could see maybe more.
Right.
But even Wally West wasn't that goofy.
But he was a kid.
Yeah,
you know?
But like this character is clearly supposed to be Wally West. If you read the if you're familiar with the comics, like they're calling him Barry Allen, but it's Wally West.
That's been my biggest complaint with the Flash ever since. If you every character, with the exception of Grant Gustin, who I will say plays a really good Barry Allen.
I wish that they had him do it because I think he would have been.
He's a very, but that portrayal is Barry Allen.
Barry Allen, yeah.
Every other portrayal we've ever seen is based on the Mark Waid, Jeff Johns stuff, and he's Wally West.
I think they want their cake and eat it too. They think that the kids reading comics are more familiar with Wally West, and they're doing the Flash.
First
and
off,
like,
kids don't read comics. Second, I think the bigger problem they have is that Wally West only exists because of Barry Allen.
Correct.
And so to start with Wally West,
Sure.
what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get there without having a Barry Allen?
I'm sure that
Because if they could ever stick with a Barry / Wally version on screen long enough, whenever they get to introduce Kid Flash, it will be Impulse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It won't be
Bart.
Kid Flash.
It'll be
it
Bart.
will be Impulse.
Yeah. Or Bart does become Kid Flash. Like, for the record, he does.
Eventually,
yeah. But I do agree with you. I think that it would be Bart Allen, who's the grandson of Barry from the future. Which again is just like, God damn it. Like,
Well, then there's a Wally West who is a cousin who's Kid Flash now, right?
so DC is kind of a mess. They have.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No.
They realized. So what they did with the New 52 is they made Wally West black, and he was Iris's. I know, he was Iris's nephew. So that was all the same. And then the real.
Yeah, he
Wally
got
West.
erased from time and then brought back.
And then
in.
brought back. So now we've got two Wally Wests who are just existing in the DCU at the same
I
DC
can't
Comics.
imagine what happens when they try to apply for a credit card.
It's bad. It's bad
Well,
news.
so
Do you think that was an homage to the they pronouns?
Yes,
Because now
I do.
Wally West can be referred to as
they. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
the other Wally West, he has a different name,
Wallace.
but goes by that's Wallace isn't even his first name; it's his middle name, and he goes by Wally.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's such a
not
mess.
they've changed it so it's not
Right.
but they made it more confusing by trying to make it less confusing.
So
We'll put them all in the same costume.
I was watching the Justice League animated series because
Yeah.
it's like really the time where I was like, see that's Barry Allen,
no,
you know?
it's not.
In the
the
end,
animated series, it's Wally.
well, but the character,
Yes.
the character,
Yes.
So that's what I don't understand. And the character of the Flash in the animated series is like Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, that's
no
how
sense.
we recognize him.
Right.
You know, he's got the snarkiness.
Yeah.
You know,
He
he's
loves being the Flash.
inexperienced, but he's also kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
And he can still crack wise, you know, without being this sort of like, you know, nervous jumble.
Hey, man, it is.
So they've done it before.
That's true. That's the problem. Is they have this template. They have of the Justice League cartoon where it's like,
The original one?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the Batman animated series
all of
type.
it. Superman, all
When
of
it,
it. It's
yeah,
like,
like,
here you
evolved.
go.
I know. Don't you just wish they would adapt those stories because they're so good?
If I'm James Gunn, I'm going to Bruce Timm.
Yeah. Paul
and
Dini.
Paul Dini, like, hey man, why don't you
Yeah.
join the crew and we'll
Yeah.
put this thing together
They've
and
made
we'll
the
make
best
it work.
stories on television,
Yep.
and they can be the best stories on.
Yeah.
And I'll say right now, I was really kind of hoping that all of a sudden Jason Momoa was Lobo.
Yeah.
I would have been like, that's the ending. I was like,
The only
that would've
reason
been
they
great.
tag him is because stupid Aquaman 2 is still coming out. Like,
I
who,
know.
who
Oh, I
wants
forgot that was
who
even a
needs
thing.
that? I mean, at this point, is anyone excited for Aquaman 2? Reboot this thing. I could not tell you how little excitement I
Having him as Lobo at the end would have been great.
Right.
That would have
Be
been like,
Lobo.
okay, we're
But I think
totally.
without
The
the
guy-
second movie, it
The
just
guy is
doesn't.
Lobo.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If there was anybody built to play Lobo, it was
But
Jason Momoa.
going back to Ezra, though, I felt that I could not enjoy this movie as much. Not even that I was trying to. I tried to separate them. But when
It's a baggage.
Barry is charismatic and cute and quirky and all that stuff,
You're like they. are a sexual assaulter.
It's just hard to laugh like how they're so funny, and it hinders the enjoyment of this movie.
It is difficult.
And I also think they changed the character, because I'm telling you, that beginning scene, he was never as neurotic or nervous, but then after stuff starts going down, the character changes and he's super serious.
Yeah,
He loses all of his neurosis
because he's the voice of reason at that point.
Right.
Like,
But he's able to drop his...
They bring in the younger version.
Right.
Who's even more obnoxious.
Man.
Oh my God.
But I don't think that character could all of a sudden...
Ted Theodore Allen.
I don't think he could get that much of his act together, because he was like totally straight, the straight character.
When you see the second Barry, and I was like, and within
Skipping across the street.
Yeah, within like 10 minutes, I was like, can we kill that guy?
Yeah.
Because this is gonna suck.
Oh, don't worry.
Good.
We
I know.
get there.
Yeah, right. I was in about 2 hours, so I had to put up with
Well,
that.
as soon as I saw, I guess he's Savitar.
I guess that's who he is. Or the Dark Flash, I guess.
Like, as soon as I saw him come out, I'm like, oh, that's
it's another one.
Yep,
yeah,
that's him.
So that's the thing, is I think there are some really good things. I think when Ezra Miller gets serious, right? That scene in the Batcave when
I think they're great after they get serious. I think the performance once Goofball Barry comes out.
Yeah.
I think Ezra, the performance separating all the personal stuff, does a great job with the character.
Most of this movie was filmed before all the trouble, right?
Yes.
Well, it's
It
just
was filmed like 2
So
years ago, wasn't
it's
it?
not like this. Those were adjustments made because
no. But I just mean that I think that they're a talented actor. It's not the casting, regardless of do you like the
So it's
characterization.
Kevin Spacey.
Right, exactly. And I
Mean, it's like the baggage meter. You're like, you're getting up there.
I will say this in mild defense of Ezra Miller: the reading the Wikipedia entries, which is as much as I really know, it does seem like they had a serious psychotic break.
I agree.
Like Kevin Spacey
is
just a piece of shit. Where I do think that, and only time will tell for sure, but at this point in time, like, I think there's a version of events where Ezra Miller had a serious psychotic episode and needed mental health treatment. It wasn't I'm going to say I need mental health treatment to massage a PR scandal.
it seemed
I'd agree with that
legit.
too.
I also think that I was talking about this on the radio, and they were like, it was really nice of the studio to stand by them. And I was like, well, make no mistake. They only stood by Ezra Miller because this movie was good, right? Like, if this had been Wonder Woman 2, Ezra Miller would have been...
And they would have scrapped it.
Yeah,
they would have Batgirled it.
Or Batgirl.
Yeah. They would have.
Right.
Like, they got a whole movie done.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Which just that alone would have been like, well, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
That's all. That's to me. That's the draw of this.
That's
movie.
the saving grace of this movie.
I was
without the Michael
stunned
Keaton
at
stuff.
how much Michael Keaton was in this movie. I really thought we were going to get 5 to 6 minutes of Michael Keaton, and that would be it.
Yeah.
But
he's a main character.
He's a main character.
But he's the Thomas Wayne character from Flashpoint.
Very much.
Right? So that's one of the things they retrofit so they can get Keaton in. And I think for the movie universe, for the audience that loves the movies, that's a great change. Right? He fills the same role as Thomas Wayne.
Honestly, that's where the movie, I was like, yeah, okay, I like this movie.
When they're the two Barrys are going to also, I gotta say, one of the things that drove me crazy is they get in a cab, right? So at this
geography.
Are you telling me that Central City Cab drove all the way to Gotham?
Like, they took a Uber to Gotham. Yeah, I'm like what is the cost of that?
How are these? We know that in the Man of Steel universe, Gotham is across the bay because that's
the
a
geography
thing.
of the DCEU
Makes no sense.
is just.
But
Central City's
they
supposed to
show
be
it.
like Kansas City.
Yeah,
right.
They show it.
Oh,
It's the
Central City,
opening. He runs.
Barry
Barry runs from,
but he's the Flash.
I know, but you see how far it is.
Yes.
So that proves the point that what on earth is this?
What cab was like? Yeah, man, we'll drive to Gotham. Don't
Maybe
even-
about 20 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no worries.
CG wise, so the opening scene has all the babies.
My biggest problem with the movie was the special effects. How do you have a budget like this and still have? I mean, like,
Well, I think reshoots went a lot into the budget. Maybe.
Well, I think they should call the Speed Force the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
oh my!
Because right
It's-
off the bat, I'm like,
It looked like the Burly Brawl from the Matrix or
20
whatever,
years
like
ago.
20
Yeah.
years ago.
Does
I'm like,
anyone buy the machetes?
No.
It looks like that because of a style choice.
No. I appreciate him saying, like, trying to get out in front. He's like, no, it's because the Flash moves real
You know
fast.
what?
Like,
Then
it looks
freaking
weird.
animate it like a comic book. Then
Yeah.
do something clever and creative
Yeah,
that
like
makes
more-
it look like
especially
Spider-Man
because
or
of stuff they
something.
do later in the movie.
Boy, oh
that doesn't
boy.
do that. At
Yeah.
the end of the movie, they bring in a few
Oh,
characters.
we'll get there. We'll
that,
get there.
Like, clearly, they could have done that.
You could scrap that whole
right off the
thing.
bat. I was like, that first baby comes out, and I'm like, ugh.
The microwave baby. I just want a T-shirt with the microwave baby. on it.
It's a funny.
so bad.
I think it's a
Well,
funny
it was
scene.
a-
It's just.
it's part of the metaverse. It was Indiana Jones.
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to become a
Like,
new
here
thing.
we go.
I think the problem that they have is they saw that scene in First Class, X-Men First Class.
Oh,
The
yes.
Quicksilver scene
Yeah.
is the right
Future
in the-
Past. Days of Future
No,
Past.
no.
No, the first one.
The
It
first
wasn't
one.
First Class. It was
I thought it was Days of Future Past.
No, First Class
No.
had Banshee.
yeah.
and-
So it was the one after
The
that.
second one, right? Days of Future Past.
I guess that was.
Was it Days
Was
of
that the
Future
second
I'm
one?
that-
pretty positive.
Where
Maybe
they
that
go
was
break
it.
Magneto out
We
of
had
the
the
cell?
awesome slow motion scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that really Days of Future
Days of
Past?
Future Past. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
don't
feel
think that
like
it
think I
is.
said
The
that.
cool Quicksilver scene.
Yeah.
Whatever
They're
that
doing it
was.
again. They're doing it again.
the first one when
guys
they're
are-
in the lab and he's like
Yeah.
running along the wall and
Yeah,
he's
they
like
go-
pushing stuff out of the way.
It's a great.
amazing.
It's an amazing scene.
Then no one has ever done it better.
Not even the same people.
Right. They tried to do it again. And then it was like, oh, let's take that thing and make it 15 minutes long. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, and they try to do that here, and I think it's a fine idea, right? Because the Flash can do the exact same thing. Actually, the Flash is faster than Quicksilver.
Oh boy. Hold on. Push him
a
up.
lot
Push
faster.
him
A
up.
lot faster because he has the Speed Force.
Sure.
Like he can tap into that power. Quicksilver can't run to the past, can he? Nope. So like I think that idea is
Yeah.
fun of Barry going into a building, saving everybody in that slow mo. But
I liked
man,
it a lot. It's just the
I
CG
was still-
is
At this
Awful.
point in the movie, I was still giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, maybe they made the babies look that way, like from an Ameritrade commercial.
or Ally
The
McBeal.
E-Trade baby.
Yeah.
yeah, Ally McBeal's a
We were
great
at
call.
Ally McBeal level.
Yeah, no,
animation.
But I was
Dancing
like,
baby.
maybe that was a choice because, like, some people are probably going to be really freaked out
Yeah.
at babies
In the microwave.
falling out of a building and
That
being
is-
in a
that
microwave.
is fair.
So I was like, maybe they're making those babies look a little fake. Like, if I was his PR guy, the director's PR guy, and you're going to go out and say we did this on purpose, that's the story.
scene,
you
yeah.
tell.
That's
we
fair.
made the babies look bad, so we didn't freak people out because these babies, if they looked real, they're in very real
But
peril.
also, like that. Yes, exactly, because you've got like glass shards
But
heading
wouldn't that
toward
be
a baby.
kind of the point? Don't you want people to feel real peril?
But
in
you're
a
all,
scene like
but
that?
you're also. This is supposed to be a fairly lighthearted
Yeah.
film and a fairly lighthearted scene, even though babies are in danger. Like it's not Lars Van Trier's Flash.
Your made up excuse is better than
Right.
theirs
Yeah,
made-up
yeah,
excuse.
right,
Yes.
I thought it was fun though.
If it
but,
was Lars Van Trier, there would have been full penetration going
yes.
on somewhere in the.
but then
background.
One of those babies would have ejaculated blood.
But so after
no.
the scene where basically Barry's just like the cleanup guy, Alfred, it's Jeremy
Well, if there's
Irons.
blood
it's-
ejaculation. You're
No,
gonna
That's
clean
the
it.
worst. Yeah, no,
Need a
thank you.
cleanup
You-
guy.
you
I
are-
can understand why Barry's so mad about being like
You
third
guys
or
are,
fourth
you're all
call.
on notice.
But you know,
Now
so
you know why his suit's red.
That's right.
So he's finally given something to do, saves the babies, and then after that goes back, and it's like the whole thing happened while he's waiting for his order at
I'm
the.
fine with that.
So that's
Like,
a funny,
that's-
that's a
yeah.
funny idea. But then after that, you see him doing the run from Central City to Gotham, and the CG then is just like, what is this?
I don't even mind. Like I like
The
the
idea was cool, but it looked so cheesy.
Yeah,
the way
I
that,
like the idea of like the world kind of stretching around him.
Yeah.
Like I do like that. Where
The
he's moving
Corona Bowl.
Yeah, like okay, we're not going to call it the cosmic treadmill. Like that's not what we're going to do. Fine, whatever. Call
Right.
it whatever you want.
The
At
Corona
that
Bowl.
first one, when he's zoomed out super far, and the Flash is a little ant, and you're seeing the fast motion
Yeah.
through to set, and I'm just like, it didn't look like a $250
It's
million
funny
movie.
that the WB stuff is like, no, we'll just pan back and just animate a lightning bolt
Yeah.
throughout the city.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah. And it looks better.
They're like, hey, we got to do this every week.
Yeah, right.
That's expensive.
It's very expensive. So yeah,
Did
so
you, speaking of bad CGI, Kevin, did you take my advice?
I couldn't tell what
And
you were
look at the
talking about.
faces.
No, I couldn't.
When there were two Barrys on screen,
I saw it like
if-
once or twice.
If you
Where it
look
looks
at,
like copy and pasted
if
on.
you look at the one who's not talking, it is nightmare fuel.
Yes.
It is bad.
I feel like there's a scene where they're.
It's like he's holding a cardboard.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
like
deep
he's
fake.
in Rise of the Pink Ladies.
in the
They game
Batcave,
of the
there's
game
like
of death it.
there's like lighting issues and stuff
Yes.
where it doesn't
Yeah.
match, where you can kind of see the seam where they
Yeah.
like,
Because it's got to
the
be a
face
deep
on.
fake. It's got to be a different actor, and then
Yeah.
they just put the face on.
Yeah, they
like-
did the Social Network Army
Yeah.
Hammer type thing where they had a second, but they did it worse.
I know we've kind of given Marvel like the guff recently with their CG. At Disney, I guess Disney has kind of doubled down on that. The face, right? The de-aging or the bringing actors back. And it looks
Yeah.
really good for the most
But
part.
Disney's also doing. I mean, if you look at especially the streaming stuff, they're doing a lot of practical.
Sure.
And it looks really, really, really good.
Yeah, but even when we
I mean,
got
there's some characters in Mandalorian 3, like when Zeb makes an appearance.
Yeah.
That looked incredible.
it did.
And you're just like, wow. Okay,
yeah, but then
so
sometimes you have speeder bike kids.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's-
yeah, no.
Look,
That-
you gotta
well,
see-
okay.
look, you gotta put up with some crap.
That's 100%.
Rodriguez.
That's 100% Robert Rodriguez.
Hey, let's go to the Spy Kids set in my basement.
I was like, oh, Rodriguez.
I've never seen fast vehicles look slower. It was like I was watching it in
So bad.
slow
Yeah.
motion.
But when we get to, you know what, we're just going to do it now. When we get to all of the cameos and all of the people.
We're at the last scene of the movie.
Well,
Yeah.
at this point, we've been doing it for 10 years.
We're bouncing
Kevin. We're
around
gonna
in
bounce
time.
around.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how bad
Yeah.
all of them look.
Nick Cage one was awesome. Nick Cage one looked great.
I will give you the
Looked great.
Nick Cage one only because
still
that's
alive.
something I never thought I would see.
Right.
Is a
But
piece
it's
of that
also-
script.
The Nick Cage thing is such just red meat for nerds.
Yes. Oh,
it is
means
100%.
one
But what else-
thing.
And the giant spider.
It means nothing to anybody.
That
else.
story,
What else are we doing here?
That
Why
story
not?
has
That's-
been going around again, and I was like, well, the timing of that couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I don't
they
know.
probably
If,
seeded that.
With the
Yeah.
with the giant spider.
spider.
Giant
in the
spider.
third act.
John
John
Peters,
Peters finally got his giant spider.
But
I
I
wonder
mean-
if he got like a cut of that.
But that's the deep cut. But
You know?
that is the deep cut fan service
Well, that's
I
why they
want in a
couldn't
comic
afford
book.
better CG.
I don't want the one that hits me over the
John
head.
Peters.
I want the one where it's like, oh wow, Nick. Like I just want the one
I
that's
think the average person is like, what?
What?
Why is that a thing?
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
But I do think that if we're gonna play with this multiverse,
Yeah.
and that's probably the most famous DC movie to never get made.
Yeah.
Give us the one that we've been
But
clamoring
then,
for.
but then
you know?
also, like, I hate that it was just. I mean, they Family Guide it.
What do
Right?
you mean?
Like, hey, remember when this thing happened? Enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about this thing? Remember this thing?
Or they just
Like,
shoehorn a joke
Yeah.
without any.
right. There was
reason.
no like to bring back, you know, a CGI Christopher Reeve or George Reeves or the Nick, like, then utilize that.
Yeah.
Use them in some capacity.
Well, I mean,
not just here's a
snippet.
Here's
Yeah.
an
It's
image of it.
unearned. Where like you go back to Spider Verse, you know,
Yeah.
like everything that all the fan service that you see in Spider Verse is pretty well earned.
Holy!
and
I
set
did
up.
not know where that was gonna go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Did you not like Spider
No,
Verse?"
no, it's so well earned, and
Yeah.
they've laid the foundation so
Yeah.
well that the fan service works and it doesn't feel cheap.
Yeah.
This feels cheap.
Yeah,
I think
it does.
the Christopher Reeve Helen Slater one doesn't feel cheap, right? Because
Well, it's because we're just so happy to see a really good Superman.
I don't know. I think that's super weird.
But
I
I-
did not care for that in the
but why?
slightest.
Okay, so did you care when they brought back Grand Toff?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Whatever.
God, you lost your nerve.
Yeah, it was.
I was gonna
it's the
say Peter
concussions.
Cushing was what I was
It
gonna
was
say.
the
but, yeah.
concussions. So
Or Leia.
Or Leia, yeah.
So but so that movie took place in the same time period, and I don't
Right.
think that it felt as cheap as just cutting to. Remember, Christopher Reeve was Superman. The cutaway to this felt very cheap and weird. Where I just don't think the other one felt
And
as
they
odd.
just did it to do it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was-
didn't-
It's the biggest like super nostalgia grab.
Yeah.
Without any sort of like, hey, look.
Because they're showing the multiverses
okay,
are
there you go.
colliding. Here's
It's
this
like-
multiverse and
yeah.
this multiverse. Like
So for the people who like Adam West, they're like, yay,
Right.
You know,
Well,
but
you see like
it's
for
just
a
a
split
peek.
second, yeah.
And then it's like, oh,
the Adam West one, I didn't think was as weird. There's some the way they.
but they didn't zoom in on
Yeah,
that.
the-
They just
the
like,
way-
George
so
Reeve
fast.
one
They didn't
wasn't
spend
as
as much
weird.
time on
No,
it.
the way
Right.
they freaking zoomed in on their faces and had them stand there felt gross to me. Where the Adam West was funny, George Reeves was fine. I agree. Like that stuff was good. Was Kevin Conroy in this at all?
I don't know.
I can't. I was shocked to not see
That's
some.
so. That's my other issue.
Because like
is if
that's
you're gonna
the Batman and he just died.
if you're gonna play with the multiverse,
But they didn't acknowledge animated things at all.
they
though.
didn't.
Yeah.
But then
No.
throw in if you're just gonna do it, go get Ryan Reynolds, go get Josh Brolin as Jonah Hex. Like, have all of there's a multitude. John Wesley Shipp.
Multiverse.
There's a lot of universes here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
wonder why
point.
they didn't get John Wesley Shipp.
Or
That was
Tyler
surprising.
Tyler
I was
Hoechlin?
I
really
don't get
surprised that he was not in it.
He's on the show. Why would you not have him?
as Barry Allen. Like he in the Flash
and then
TV
he
show,
comes back as Jake.
Then he comes back as
yeah,
Jake Garrick.
he's Jake
though.
Garrick.
Yeah,
He's Barry Allen. He's also Barry Allen's dad. Like he has, at the Draft House they show like funny little like ads that tie into the movie. They showed the VHS commercial, the commercial for the VHS release of the John Wesley Shipp Flash TV show, like the
1990.
but it was like the first 3 episodes, which basically they
Flash in the bat suit.
yes, and I was like, yeah, that looks great. Like I might go watch that instead. This is so
Honestly,
good.
though, like because I saw the Draft House too, and I saw it, and the guy who was sitting next to me, we were like, this doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. Like, I mean, for 1990,
for TV,
So
like it's not even.
I'll just go ahead. That was my video recovery.
Oh no!
No, it's okay because honestly, and if you watch the first episode and a handful of episodes are actually on YouTube remastered in HD.
Oh dang, for real?
And yeah, I mean, there's certain 90s-ness to
yeah,
it.
I mean, it still is a product of its era.
It's the year after Batman.
It looks like it's filmed on a Batman set.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Central City, and in fact, when they showed the Central City in this movie, I was like, I think they're pulling from the Central City.
Oh, interesting.
From the '90s series.
Well, because
And
the
he's
Central
still-
City from the 90s, I mean, Danny Elfman even did the score.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
like they were going
it's
off
Danny
of
Elfman,
Batman.
it's Shirley Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole mix
Yeah.
of like, there's the 90s neon and glass
Yeah.
block, but
When you
then
go
there's
back and
also,
watch that-
1940s cars and stuff like that.
You'll see what they're doing. They're like, that Batman 89.
He's still the best looking Flash.
I agree.
I'm
Looks
like,
good.
you know what? And that was the guy who designed the bat suit.
Yeah, because
for,
I mean, that's the Flash suit looks like Batman suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I
very
thought
much
that was
so.
great.
It's
It's
the
got like
same-
a weird like felt to it. It
and
almost
they've
looks
got
like
that,
felt, but
and they've kind of built the muscles into the suit, so
Yeah.
the actor doesn't have to be completely jacked.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's-
it's still, I mean, honestly, watch it because I'm like, I'm going to rewatch that. And I was like, yeah, he still looks the best.
He does look the
Out
best.
Of all of the ones that we've had, minus animated.
Yeah.
He still looks the best.
and he's also the most like Barry Allen. You know, like
Oh,
yeah.
we should say Ben Affleck's back as Batman in the beginning of this movie doing, I mean, it's a pretty good action scene.
so
car chase.
Andy
It
Muschietti.
was interesting to see Batman in broad daylight.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
The same thing.
and I mean that in a good way.
yeah,
And he has a blue and gray suit.
And the
instead
blue
of
and
a-
gray, I think, even made the broad daylight better.
Right.
Because it's
Than
like,
being
cool.
pitch black. It
Yeah.
was,
it's. I can understand now why he's getting the Batman movie. Like I think his Batman stuff was Muschietti. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
is very
the
good.
Batman stuff was
Brave
really
and
good.
the Bold.
Yeah. He's the
Yeah.
director of Batman: Brave and the Bold.
His Affleck stuff and his Keaton stuff was solid.
But it's the most superhero comic book Batman
Yeah.
I think we've ever
the
seen.
way he flew around and grappled. And
yeah,
all that
the whole
stuff
thing,
looked
right?
great.
They
Cape looked like crap.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I thought the
didn't
cape
really
looked like
notice.
the cape looked really fake.
Interesting.
I was like, man, there's some just these spots where they're like,
Yeah.
I guess I ran out of budget.
Yeah.
Babies.
I think
or
so.
Maybe it's the apparel thing.
They put too much into the cape.
you
They
know,
could
the
put that
dog
on the
looked
babies.
okay.
we talked about Beast Wars Transformers last week,
Yeah.
and they spent all the money on the CG, the Transformers, and so the land is like flat land with two trees in the
Yeah, right.
background. They have no money for landscapes. I think that's what happens is they blow it all.
Well, they did that
on-
here, right? They're fighting at the end in a desert.
I read that one of the reasons why they're fighting in the desert is because they got so much pushback
Of how
on
many
Man
people
of Steel.
died.
Yeah.
in
Oh,
Man of
yeah.
Steel.
And
Yeah.
Man of Steel, and they're just like, we're just going to avoid that.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's why so many of DC comics apparently the ends are in places that don't matter.
Right.
I went back and watched Fast X because Katie hadn't seen it, so I was watching
Why
it with her.
would you do that to yourself?
There's a bomb rolling down the hill of the Vatican for 20 minutes that never stops along the way. At the end, I got this wrong in the podcast. The news report says no casualties. They did a bomb rolling down the Vatican, cars crashing, flipping over, cop cars exploding, a hurricane or whatever blast picking up cars and crashing them. Zero casualties.
That's hilarious.
Well, they still say in this that like thousands of people,
Thousands.
died in. Like no, like you level like a city that's supposed to be like New York or bigger, like so like 12 million people in that area.
downtown New
And
York
this
got
is
blown up.
This was the first. You remember 10 years ago, that was the first movie post 9/11 where we saw the destruction of a city with the people covered in the debris and the dust. So, and there was also at that time a lot of backlash because there was still national PTSD. Sure. And DC has been dodging that ever since.
Can we
put him in a field?
Can we put Batman there and maybe he'll save some people?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So basically, this is the Flashpoint story, right?
Yeah.
Barry realizes that he can go back in time, and he's talking to Bruce. Who it's funny to see that this is Affleck's third go.
Well,
Right?
if you count stuff like Suicide Squad, right? He's got
I guess
little
that's
spots
true.
where he
I feel
jumps
like
in.
it's fun. It's a shame because I feel like he's figured it out here.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a great Batman.
He even says he's
He's a
like,
good
they
Bruce
finally
Wayne,
figured this
too.
out.
I think the Bruce Wayne is really good.
He was looking gaunt in this movie.
Well, he's
man.
not as
But I think he looks happier and healthier now. When they filmed this, I think he was really
Jennifer
looking.
Lopez just sucked the life right out of him again.
No, I think he's doing great now. But when they filmed this, he just looks really skinny and didn't look that healthy in this movie.
Yeah, I think. We saw him in that BVS, and he was jacked to the gills.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I like that he's kind of a mentor to Barry, and like they don't make him. I mean, he's overly serious, but not in a way
Sure.
that like they've done recently with some of the other Batman.
Yeah.
Overly brooding.
Yeah.
Where his Bruce is like, yeah, I know you can do it, but maybe don't.
I mean, that's one of
we
my
see
my
it.
favorite things about this movie is the fact that the Batmans in it they're not depressing. I mean,
Yeah.
right? They can be, but there's a little
They're
bit of
not
levity
dour,
to them,
and they're not.
Like
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
animated stuff, they're not like that, right? They're more likable, right?
They're just
Like,
aloof.
Yeah, and we see in, I don't know if it was BVS, but we see Barry coming out of a time portal, and so that's what he knows. He's seen him do it.
But wait,
That-
but they
that
don't
one.
reference that.
No,
That's not.
at
still
the
a-
end of the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought they were going to tie back into that at some point.
That
but-
weird where he popped out.
Yeah, he popped out.
I'm in the wrong place. And then
Oh no, he
disappeared.
says, "Yeah, I'm too early, or
Yeah.
I'm too
Yeah.
late, or something."
Yeah, and it was their setup to try to do Injustice. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
But-
Oh, well, I'm glad
which is
that
what
didn't
we get
happen.
in that end credit, whatever, where they go where Batman's in the
Oh yeah,
goggle
Nightmare
outfit and
Batman
everything.
or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we know Bruce knows that Barry can do this, and there's no reference to that. Barry tells him, he's like, "Hey, I went back in time like a day," and Bruce is like, "You can do that?" And it's like you saw him do it. Like you saw future Barry pop out and be like,
know it's all weird, but
you know.
I think he kind of knows, but he also realizes there's not much he can do to stop him. So he kind of guides him. I like how he gently is like, he gives a really good talk about how you shouldn't change things and wear your scars. And I don't remember the whole quote, but it is really well
The
written.
scars make us who we are. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it was all of that was actually really well done.
Yeah, I think
It's
the
funny
dramatic
that
beats
there's
are
a
good in
lot
this
of the
movie.
quiet moments in this, especially with when Batman's involved. Either
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It was actually at its best. Like this is where the script is actually. There's parts of the script that are actually pretty good.
Yes, I totally agree.
And that's why I say I think Ezra's a good actor. You can't the dramatic stuff really works, and so it's hard. I think that I could accept that more, but when it was the levity, goofy, joking stuff, it made me feel awkward too.
Yeah.
But I could at least appreciate their
Yeah.
acting chops. Was
Sure.
like,
Sure.
man, I wish this didn't have to be so diluted,
Right.
to where I could enjoy more of it. But
I mean,
Yeah.
my whole thing with Ezra is people deserve second chances. So if he did have like a real
Yeah.
they had a real psychotic break, then hopefully
And they get
he
help.
gets
Right.
they get a second chance. I mean, look at Robert Downey Jr.
It's a
and-
great,
Marky
it's a,
Mark.
it's a great example.
Sean Penn,
Yeah.
Marky Mark, they've
Well,
all done.
Sean
Penn
still
can
a
go-
piece of
But he
shit.
got a second,
Yeah.
third chance. That was
Third,
my-
fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth.
That's
ninth.
why I'm saying I can't. I mean, if you know the
Right.
stuff that Mark Wahlberg did, and I know he's a good guy and he's religious now, like I think he's pretty clean and repented. But if you don't know the stuff he's done,
Yeah, he's a
douche.
he was a bad dude.
Yeah.
racial
There's
hate crimes.
The character in Sam Jackson's Shaft, the Christian Bale character,
Yeah.
is based on Marky Mark.
wow.
Like
But
that's
look,
a
he's
real
like
thing.
he's a lovable, funny leading man now. So I mean, there's an opportunity here for Ezra to get the help they need.
I will also say if as a society we don't afford people
Correct.
the opportunity
Right.
to have a second chance, then they have no incentive to
Absolutely.
change at all.
Yeah, what's the
So
point?
What's your end game?
I
Right.
100% agree. And from everything I've seen, Ezra's been off the map and apparently getting help at a facility. And they only did one premiere thing and seemed very calm
Yeah.
and thankful. Like,
Warner Bros is like, could stand there.
Yeah.
5.
but they were
4,
like,
all right, gotta go.
they were acting totally chill, not goofy and very
They
appreciative.
acknowledge their troubles
Yes.
too. Like, yeah.
So I think they're handling it well so far. Only time will tell, as we've all said.
Right.
But the dramatic beats are good. The small moments, Dan, you hit the nail on the head, were really well handled. And I think that the action and the bad CGI takes it down a notch because we had so many good moments that were small, intimate, and the Batman relationship that's right out of the comics, Batman and Flash and Flashpoint are very close.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
recreate that with two different Batmen. And
But they're not. I know in the comic they make it seem like they're close. They're not. Like Barry's best friend is Hal Jordan.
Right,
but in the reason that Barry goes to see
What about Chunk?
You're not wrong. The reason Barry goes to see Bruce in that comic is like, hey man, they say it in this. He's like, you're the greatest detective. I can't figure this out. Like, I need help. Basically, help. Can you help my dad? And that's where that all starts.
Yeah.
And then the ending beat of that Flashpoint is, in the comic at least, Barry has a letter from Thomas Wayne.
that's the killer that they don't do that because that is an emotional freaking moment. And in the animated, they do it.
Yeah.
That is a
where
heartbreaking.
Barry gives Bruce a letter from his dad.
Yeah.
And that's how, and like, yes, they're colleagues. That's a great way to put it. They're
But
not.
they have a night. But I don't know. I like that in the way they portray it in the comic is that they are at least.
They're work friends.
They're work friends, but I think they recreated that well with the two Batmen. I liked seeing that relationship between the two.
Yeah, no, I think in this one we definitely they've done the Robert Downey Jr. Tom Holland thing.
Yeah.
Where Bruce is mentoring Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's working at a crime lab, whole shebang. Bruce, there's security cam footage of Barry's dad, and that's the key to getting, he's got this appeal coming up. Unfortunately, Barry's dad never looks up to the camera, so there's no real evidence that Barry's father was not the one that murdered his mother. Now, in the comic books, Zoom kills Barry's mom to set Barry on this path. Like, I need a bat, that's the whole thing.
Were they leaving that open on what actually happens to her? Because they never show any.
They don't. They say that somebody broke into the house and didn't realize
I think
that
it's
she was
left
going
open
to be there.
Zoom if they want it to.
If they want it to be Zoom, it can be Zoom. And Barry realizes that since he can go into the past, I can fix this. I can, basically the crutch is they forget a can of tomatoes. So if Bruce, to his point,
sure she doesn't forget the can of tomato, then
everything sets
the
it
dad
changes
won't
everything.
have to leave the house, and
Right.
everything will be fine.
And
both his parents will be killed.
Right.
And
That's
he
the
can
thing.
become
It's
Batman.
like
I
not
did
thinking
wonder
this through.
Yeah.
I did wonder because it was like, well, then if they never leave, doesn't the guy still come back to kill?
Or
them?
they see the car in
Or
the driveway
they think
and they don't.
They thought no
Or
one was
they
home,
don't
you're right.
leave. He doesn't become the Flash, and none of this. Then both parents are killed, and he has no way of getting back.
Which is what was going to happen.
Right.
Right? Like, because his parents were there, Barry's not at the crime lab where he's going to get hit by lightning. So if Barry was wrong, that's the problem with time
It's
travel.
time travel.
There's a reason why Robert Zemeckis was attached to this movie at one point.
Oh, was he really?
Really? Yeah.
That would have been kind of
Because
fun.
the plot is Back to the Future.
Yeah, they're like, and he also had the, because he had
With Eric
such
Stoltz.
experience.
That's great.
That was great.
One of the best, funniest lines is when all the movies are changed. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
thinking that
Yeah.
he changed all pop culture.
She's like, no. But it's because
Kevin Bacon's
Zemeckis
Maverick.
he had that experience of directing the, around doubles or
Oh,
duplicates.
sure. Could you imagine doing that in 1985 and then being like, in 2013, I don't have to get 6 people to play the same
Yeah.
guy.
Right,
yeah.
Just put a different face on him.
And I loved Michael Keaton Batman being Doc Brown, helping him with the experiment.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
He's stringing up the thing just like...
It's the same. It's,
Yeah.
So Barry...
I mean, he's got to get hit by lightning to go back.
Yeah.
Right? To get his powers
Right.
back. Yeah. So Barry, he puts the tomatoes in the thing. And he is, while he's running back to go to the present, this creature knocks him out of the time loop, and he ends up in the past.
Aren't there time wraiths?
So there's
thought that's what they were gonna do with it.
There's Savitar, like Blake mentioned. Then there's the Dark Flash. Then there's the
Death.
Black Racer.
Flash, yeah.
But Savitar is an alternate version of Barry Allen who got way too into the Speed Force, which is exactly
what they
happens
do
in this one. Yeah.
But I like it. It was nice because this is different than Flashpoint. That gives you because it's supposed to be Zoom. So by making it, we didn't know what was going to happen in the movie, which I thought was cool for comic readers.
Yeah, there was no talk of Zoom, which I was like, it's a shame that we don't get to see that costume because that costume is great. Like Zoom has,
but then we're back to having 18 villains in a movie. I like that they kept it simple for this.
Simple.
It was
Simple as-
it was interesting though because as soon as Spooky Flash or whatever,
I will say the McFarlane
Speedy,
toy labels
Scary
it
Spice.
as Dark Flash.
yeah,
Like that's what
okay,
Right, come
Dark
get that
Flash.
movie after
As soon
the
as that came jumping out, I was like, yeah, you guys are now you're just stealing from your own TV show.
Yeah.
Except for, they spent a whole season on it, and then they did it 7, 8 more seasons.
Correct.
But and I'm finally finishing up. I'm like in season 7.
Oh, are you?
I bailed on it a long time ago.
I
I'm
bailed
gonna finish this thing up because I just want to wrap it up.
I bailed at Crisis, and I was like, done.
Oh boy, I started just skipping around on that one. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch.
It was
the highlights.
fun to see Burt Ward and Kevin Conroy. Like the idea was fun, but it was like,
hey, Brandon Routh got a second bite of that apple, and I was cool.
Yeah, you know what? It was sort of like that version of that. That was the budget version of what we got at the end of this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
we got Burt Ward and Kevin Conroy.
And was it Robert Wool?
Yeah. Oh God.
Shows up as
That's right.
What's his name?
as Knox.
Yeah, it's Knox. Yeah, right.
I love the
because we can't get anybody else from that movie, so we got Robert.
We got Robert Wool,
Batman or Earth 89,
Taggart,
which I
or
did
whatever.
like.
What's the guy that
Eckhart.
Eckhart. That's
Right.
Think about the future.
He's not around anymore. They could have CG'd him.
I could do that movie front and back.
Oh my God.
Porkins, it's Porkins. Yeah.
I was like, is that his voice dubbed?
It's dubbed because it's weird.
Because
he's
terrible.
like, hey, yeah.
Where you been spending your
it's
night?
Where you been spending your nights?
Totally
like-
dubbed. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. No. Even me in 1989, I was like,
Did you ADR that? What are you doing? So he does that, and he goes and he realizes that his mom and dad are alive, life is good, and then he looks out the window and he sees Doofus Barry
doing some sort of skip-to-maloo
Kicking
across
over
the street.
trash.
Right.
You can tell he's a
Everybody in that neighborhood would have kicked his ass. They're like, man, that Allen kid is
Allen
back
kid's the
to do
worst.
his laundry.
to
Hit him.
To their credit, though, they said what we're all thinking when Barry. As soon as Barry sees this version of Barry, he's like, "Now I get how annoying I am."
Yeah.
But I just don't believe the change from wackadoo
Yeah.
to straight face.
I do believe it only because so we're back in like 2013 because we get Zod. Zod is back. He's coming looking for Superman, and I do like that they get rid of Henry Cavill. Not that Henry Cavill deserved better, but they're just like the baby. We killed it. We killed that.
Yeah. So big mistake.
So
here's
Flash
what they
becomes-
should have done in that scene.
Yeah.
When they're building that, when he's talking to Supergirl, and she's like, "But what did you do with the baby?" Here's how you end that scene, and people would have lost their.
He comes out.
He says, "What did we do with the baby? We raised it." And then you get evil Superman, and then the last
You
battle.
just wrote
is-
a better movie.
I thought they were doing Red Sun.
I thought
when
they were
went to
going to do
Russia.
that. Yeah.
And then
Kara
you could
versus
bring in.
Clark.
It doesn't matter if you can't get Henry Cavill. You've got 9 different Supermen you can choose from.
Yeah, that would've been cool.
Bring back Brendan Routh. Bring back
Tyler Hoechlin or
bring
whatever
back
his name is.
Dean Cain.
You know,
who cares?
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's evil.
Oh, no,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
great.
we
Yeah,
can.
let's kill him.
Yeah.
Nick Cage is Spider-Man Noir. Why not have Nick Cage Superman? He can be the tag along in all the
That would be
multiverse
hilarious.
movies.
If
Yeah,
he
like
shows
that
up
would
as-
that would have been a good.
That
Like
would've been
there are
badass.
so many ways
Yeah.
that you could bring in
Yeah.
an evil Superman there.
Yeah.
With that would be a cool fan moment without even having to get Henry Cavill. Oh, but if you got him, great.
Yeah,
But-
he would have done it.
Probably, yeah. Like, but you could.
Well, yeah, they just told him he was back. It
I
would have
guess
been
that's
nice
true.
to have been back for
Right.
something.
I mean, evil Superman wouldn't be that big of a stretch for him. I mean,
snapping necks. He just that's his move. He snaps everyone's
Yeah,
neck.
just breaking necks. So we should say that in Flashpoint, the comics, it's very similar where Clark doesn't. The government intercepts Clark's rocket and they put him kind of in solitary confinement because they know what he is going to be capable. They know what he can do.
Yeah.
And they lock him down, and he is very anti-human because they've treated him poorly, and he's this tiny little gaunt thing. And we get that here
With Kara. Yeah.
Which also it's Kara, but whatever. I'll allow it because that's how they keep saying it in these.
It's canon.
Yeah, whatever. And they lock her down.
Actually, it's Kanan.
Kanan, yeah. Bob Kanan.
Bob Kanan. And they basically replace Flashpoint Superman with Supergirl. And I think she's great.
Oh yeah,
She did an awesome job.
She's
as Supergirl.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that we may not get. Well, I guess we could still get her.
That's the thing is they get to pick and choose now, right? So
Yeah.
you can take the best elements from this movie, and then you can explain that things changed away because we don't see certain things. So they can always bring someone back and we see it later, or they explain it away by not.
Well, I don't have to explain anything. That Earth Supergirl is dead. Sasha Calle can play a multitude of Supergirls. Like, it could be the same
I mean,
thing.
the way I look at it is any of these movies, it's, multiverses are supposed to be infinite. So,
Yeah.
like, the Keaton Batman we get here, it's probably not even our Keaton Batman.
Right.
It's
It's
just
just
another
I think it's
universe.
different, yeah.
It's another universe that's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do that with her too. You
Oh,
could,
yeah, for sure.
Like this is one where the intersection doesn't happen and she
makes it.
She survives.
Well, yeah, because we see, and we won't get to it till the end, but we see a big change that happens, and so anything can happen. Things can change, things cannot change. It's the butterfly effect. Like we don't know how far out it's going to reach. It could be catastrophic. It could be little tiny things.
Not catastrophic. It's one big tiny thing.
But so the whole movie basically is an adventure. Our Barry from the movies that we've seen has lost his powers, just like in Flashpoint.
Well, because he realizes that the past Barry isn't where he needs to be to get his powers. So they sneak into the Central City Police Department. He's gonna set it all up. Like he's gonna put Barry in the exact spot where our Barry was. He's like, the lightning is gonna strike and the chemicals are gonna go all over you. And I do like that younger Barry's like, you wanted me to get struck by lightning? Absolutely not. So there's a bit of a fight ensues. The lightning bolt shows up.
I always just wonder, though. I mean, I know this is nitpicky, but if Barry isn't working there, all the same chemicals are arranged in the same order.
Yeah, you'd have to get the exact same chemical. Like,
I don't
that
like
was bugging
that.
me the whole time.
Okay, I don't like that part. How it's like, well, if you don't have the internship, you're not working on the chemicals. Why are they the same? So,
And they have to be in the same ratio.
Yeah.
Are
It's
the
not just the
chemicals
same
even
chemicals.
the real thing? Because like.
That's a good point.
Because like when they recreate it,
Yeah.
he doesn't get it with the chemicals, but he gets it when she brings them back.
I
up
figured
to
he was
the
already
lightning.
infected by the chemicals, and then
But
the lightning
in
shot.
in the comics, it turns at least Wally West's is because, but I think even Barry Allen's is created by the Speed Force.
Correct. Well,
not like real lightning.
If you want to get deep, the
Yeah.
lightning bolt that causes Barry Allen to get his powers is Wally West.
Yeah.
Like Wally,
It's all paradoxical.
Yeah, Wally West turns into a lightning bolt and hits the chemicals, creating the Flash.
I heard it was the same chemicals that turned the Ninja Turtles into.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's all combined.
Also Daredevil.
They were all
it's
there.
All the same.
I want to say scene with every superheroes in the same street. It's that street where Zod is attacking.
It's the same
actually,
street. Yeah. Right. So in the process
geography
of,
works.
Yeah,
it totally works.
They took an Uber. It's fine.
The lightning bolt goes through Snyderverse Barry into the younger Barry, but in the process, Snyderverse Barry loses his powers
And a tooth.
which is okay, fine.
I don't think he had his powers to begin with.
No, how did they remember? Yeah, they phase into. Remember, they phase.
Oh,
into
okay. In the comics, he doesn't. In this one, he does. You're right.
Yeah,
Because he
yeah.
phases him through the. Cool.
Correct.
Got it.
So now, idiot Barry has all the powers, and I don't mind. Actually, I prefer a little bit of lightheartedness. This movie, like the tone, is just like it's constantly changing. Where it's idiot Barry phasing through things and dropping into an apartment naked, or
And it's like they didn't call the
giant...
police when he did that. Like some things for jokes are played too far. Where again, I know comic book movie, but when you have a naked man enter someone's apartment and you play that for laughs, with like that,
especially this one.
A naked,
But like, where were the police? That lady was just like, "Oh, you jokester!" Like,
well, you hear her scream,
that's
get out.
a bad joke. But then like the one where he phases through with the beer, like that's a great.
I think that joke is fine.
That's
I agree.
Great, like with the exploding when he opens it up.
Which
That's
we
fine,
know,
but-
like I do like that. It's right after he admits that he's never had sex.
Yeah.
So of course the beer explodes as soon as he's talking to a girl.
Gal Gadot only showing up for cameos in movies now. It is bizarre the way that she just shows up.
At least she actually was on screen with another actor.
That's
this
true.
time.
But it was almost as bad. Like
almost.
her one little second of a I'm getting so okay.
When I saw the last, I was like, huh, look at that.
But that first movie was great, and she's great. But
Yeah.
ever since
Also,
then,
I'm getting tired of the punchline being she's hot.
Yeah.
We get it.
Right.
Like,
We all know it.
Yeah.
We don't have to
Like,
keep
it's-
going to it.
Like, it reminds me of when Leslie Jones was first on SNL. And, like, there were so many sketches, like consecutive sketches, where the joke was Leslie Jones is weird looking. And it was like, this needs to
That's
stop.
not right. Yeah.
Like,
And I think she said that.
I hope she did. I think Leslie Jones is hysterical.
She's hilarious.
very funny.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw her on there, I was like, oh, she's going to be a breakout.
That was Chris Rock, though, right? Chris Rock was like, you need to get her on this show.
Because I think she's the oldest new cast member they ever had on.
Oh, really?
Like she joined the cast at like 45 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's a lot older than people realize. But it reminds me of like an inverse version of that.
Sure.
I just don't think you can keep doing the same thing. I mean, hopefully this is the end and they're going to be rebooting, but to use her as this Deus Ex Machina that shows up and then to play that theme, like Keaton's theme earns it. When you get Keaton's theme in this movie and you get that beloved when the Elfman score kicks in,
do you remember that Danny Elfman scored the Avengers 2?
Huh?
Avengers 2?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was on TNT the other day, and I was watching the end of it, and it said music by Danny Elfman, and I was like,
did it sound like a Tim Burton movie? Like,
no, it sounded like the Alan Silvestri score.
That's interesting.
It's very weird
because his style is
that guy's he's a weird dude.
I think what we're finding out is maybe that Wonder Woman theme isn't that great.
I think the Wonder Woman theme
good.
I thought it worked in the first one, but
I know, but every time I hear it, I'm like,
I know, I did
it's
the
just
same.
jarring.
It's not great.
I thought it was good, but
anyway, so
I do agree that
it feels
right.
Yeah. What do we call him?
Snyderberry he's basically he gives Idiot Barry the powers, and of course he can't figure it out, which is fine. He's a 20-year-old kid who just found out he had
in this movie.
Just found out he had superpowers, and now they realize that now Zod has shown up, and Barry's like, oh wait, like I remember all of this. Like we got to go find Clark, and of course trying to explain who Clark Kent is.
And his roommates, because all of a sudden,
we should say
Eric Stoltz's roommate thing was pretty funny.
Yeah, when they're referencing back, he's like, "Why do you keep saying?" He's like, "Do you mean Michael J. Fox?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like the Michael J. Fox from Footloose.
Yeah,
he's like, "No, that's Kevin Bacon." They're like, "Kevin Bacon from Maverick."
Top Gun with
I just love it.
The gay guys,
the gay volleyball scene.
Gay volleyball. Yeah,
I just love that you could see Barry was losing his mind over this, and that was a really funny scene. But when the guy lifts his legs up, he's like, "It's Eric Stoltz. I got the ink."
He goes, "I have it's on my." Oh, I have like Stoltz on, or what is he? Man, what does he say? Because it's such a great line. Something on my thigh.
Yeah,
and he's like, "That's not even
he like
your
slaps
thigh."
it. It's so
but
funny.
But it's on his calf.
Yeah, it's so
it doesn't
funny,
make
though.
sense. Which if you've never seen those screen,
it's weird.
It's very weird. He is in a different movie.
Yeah,
that would not have
glad
been.
they figured it out.
That's why he was not in the movie.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So they're like, okay. They reference Batman, and everybody's like, "Yeah, of course we know who Batman is." And it's like, "Okay, perfect." So
Batman.
That was pretty
he goes,
funny.
"Do you know who Batman is?"
Why'd you say that? Batman.
And so they go to Wayne Manor, and I will say they did a pretty fantastic job of recreating the Burton Wayne Manor
Looks
with
great.
all of the weird statues. and the kitchen with the bells and everything is great. And then Bruce pops out of a cupboard, which I assume that means that he was in the Batcave.
No,
he was cooking and he heard
pasta.
them.
Oh, and he just hopped in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he lost a flip flop on the way in.
I just wish they could have done a better job with this clearly being a stunt double.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I
man,
mean, the way they've hit his face for every bit of it in the shadow, and
right,
I don't
right,
know.
right.
It's just, I props to Keaton. He's 71. He does an amazing job in the whole movie. But this introduction scene, which I know he can't do all that, but the way they filmed it, you're just like, how much more obvious could you be? It's not Keaton.
Like, we need to put him in long hair and a beard.
And cover his
Can we do
face and
this
put a
as best
shadow over
possible?
it, and like don't show his face most of the time.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know. It's just
This Batman 89 kicks the shit out of both Barrys. Well,
I do like how
Snyderberry.
I like how Newberry's using the slow mo, the speed, but we see it in slow motion. It's funny, and he's moving things out of the way and dodging. And it's a good little scene.
So they they explain the case to Bruce, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm out. Like, don't even sweat it. I'm not doing it."
Pass.
Yeah, pass.
I love it. And
It's
that
very
line,
much-
what does he
it's-
say? Like, what you're passing to the next? And the way he says it is like,
I don't know, but it's very much like Wolverine in First Class.
Yeah.
Where Xavier and Magneto go to talk to him, and he was just like,
best cameo of all time. I think
It's
that
great.
is seriously.
and they're both like, "Okay, thank you very much," and they leave.
So he says like, if he's not going to help us, we're going to use his bat.
Yeah, there's a lot. I will say, I know we gave Guardians a little bit of a guff about the F-bomb in that movie. There's a lot of language in this movie that I was not expecting coming from both Barrys.
No,
I wonder how upset they were when Guardians used an F-bomb, because they were probably thinking we're going to be the first big comic book movie to drop an F-bomb.
Did they use an F-bomb in this?
At the very end.
Yeah.
At the very end.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
I thought that it was a cutoff one. I didn't know they fully said
No,
okay.
he says
Okay.
it, yeah.
Nah, it's there. It's like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. Too late.
Right. Snyderberry somehow knows where the Batcave is in this alternate dimension.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird too.
Where he's just like, there it is.
No, I think it's the same house. I think they're saying Affleck lives in Keaton.
No, we know that's not true. Affleck, the Wayne Manor is gone. in the Snyderverse.
Why no? But this is a different time. He could have known where it was before. I'm saying that I think he
well,
knew.
it's still built. It may be
the same
built on the
place,
same
yeah.
area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just knew to look for the well.
He knows there's a Wayne Manor.
There's a
in the
well
back
around
there.
here
We're
somewhere.
gonna look for that manhole cover.
Did the Batcave in this one remind you of the Batcave in
The
the
game.
Christian Bale
Oh, the
universe?
Christian Bale?
With the
Yes,
big
the
cave
waterfall.
opening and the
That's true.
waterfall?
I think they kind of combined a little bit of because
Yeah.
I was thinking Arkham
Yeah.
Asylum or the City. The
I gotta
that
tell
gave
you,
me-
that's the cameo I thought we were gonna get.
Christian
Oh,
Bale.
I know.
That's
I
the one
was
I
kinda
thought.
too, yeah.
And I would have welcomed it
Yes, I would have been like,
at one
That's
point. Just
pretty cool.
bring
Yeah.
it a little bit.
right. So they go down there and they're looking. Of course, they turn all the lights on and the bats fly
chills,
everywhere.
man. This was good.
And
This
you
got
see
me.
you see the Batmobile like covered in a tarp, and
Yeah.
this
the
is that
track
scene-
ball.
That's what I thought was great.
I was like, a
it's-
trackball.
I mean, even the computer down to the
Yeah.
chair, like everything was
They used the
was pretty
Returns
fantastic.
Batmobile.
They did. Is that what it was? What's the difference?
Well, it's just a little different.
Oh, okay. It's the one that like breaks off the sides.
The shape of it, you can just tell. It's
Oh,
the return
okay.
one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes of that whole movie.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, now I'm a little worried. I'm like, trying to like say
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah. So Barry is on the search for Clark Kent, and of course, I like that. There's like thousands of Clark Kents, and they can't figure it out. Then he's trying to look up a birthday, but he's like, he wasn't born here, so he's trying to find all this different
There's
stuff.
no Cyborg in this one because he looks up Cyborg
and
and
he's
he's
a
a
quarterback,
football player, so
which
it
is
didn't
what
have.
he was supposed to be.
And Cyborg is the one that helps them. He's working for the government in the comics, so he
Right. Finds Clark.
Yeah.
This is the scene we were talking about where Barry does have a bit of a character change where Goofy Barry is like, this is fun, this is great. And Snyderverse Barry is like, get your together. Like, this is bad. I screwed this up. This is real bad. Like, he pulls out like the monkey and he's like, this isn't a toy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, he yells at him, but
Yeah.
then he
Yes.
tells Batman kind of what happened about his mom and everything.
Right.
And then,
Which then causes Bruce to be like, all right, fine. I'll shave my beard. I'll cut my hair. I'll dye it a little bit. And then I'll join
that's good.
join your
Talking
team.
about losing your mom and you know.
Yeah, no,
obviously it's
totally.
connected. We didn't get a flashback to Crime Alley, so there's
Thanks.
props.
Nope.
God.
I know.
Props to
We know
that.
how much Dan loves to see pearls get
I know.
blown off of. Well,
We all.
Dan
I
loves
stopped
a good,
myself. I stopped myself fair. I
he
stopped
loves a
myself.
good pearl necklace.
See, I didn't do it. But I do like that.
At least
that
we were
the,
spared a CGI Jack Nicholson.
you know they wanted it.
Didn't even have to be CGI. It's still around. They could have done
I
it.
don't
Not
think
that
they
Jack
did
Nicholson.
so
Yeah,
well.
they did the laugh box.
They did the laugh box, which I did like.
I
Like,
think
that was
Nicholson
fun
looks
little-
good for his 80s though. Like
But
when
I
they
think
show him, I'm
I,
like,
I thought I read he's having like dementia.
oh,
I think
Oh,
because he's
really?
going out to basketball
Yeah.
games and stuff.
But
still.
he had
seemed
done
like-
one in forever.
He hadn't, but when he did,
but
I'm
I
like,
thought he was having like cognitive.
Oh,
Oh,
dang.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine that we didn't. I'm on
Yeah.
board. With
I
that.
do like that the Bruce has like he opens a secret room and it's got all of the different bat suits and I
That
was
was
like,
cool.
And he's got the Nightmare
yes.
Batman.
He did have the
costume,
Nightmare
yeah.
Batman, but he's also got like a Neil Adams kind of
Yeah.
inspired Batman
That's
suit.
cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Neil Adams' Batman suit's my favorite. The gray and blue. I love that.
It is
That's my
very
It
good.
favorite.
looked good. I mean, so did Affleck's. It was kind of neat.
Affleck's
to
is my
see-
favorite suit. Like I love that suit.
Really?
To see
Yeah.
the color scheme.
Frank Miller.
The
suit?
Frank Miller suit's
Yeah.
one of my
I
favorites.
do think it is weird that he still has the suit that he can't move his neck in.
That was a funny joke. That was a
Right.
great joke, and I love how
Those things are expensive. You're not just gonna throw that away.
Newberry repurposes a bat suit to into
Yeah.
a Flash one because they are so similar. Like you said, it was great
Yeah.
that he was able to
He,
retrofit it.
he rips that part of the neck off so he can move his head.
But before that, the joke is he turns to Snyderberry and he's like his face is like in the eye hole, like it's all awkward because he can't turn the neck. That's a great joke.
Yeah.
For nerds that understand that's great.
it is. I kind of wish that they'd made some comment about the Air Jordans.
Oh right,
Of,
for
like
the
the
second
boots.
movie.
Yeah, right. They go to Russia, which apparently is very easy to get into
Yeah.
in this universe. Like even getting down like into the facility.
I was thinking like you've got two
like
people that don't have powers,
20 miles away.
right.
but two
Give or-
people
give or
without
take.
powers, and one guy that just got his powers against whatever this Russian facility is.
Yeah.
but he's the Batman,
And I do, and there's a great, you get a. We talk about the warehouse scene in BVS, right, where we get an
This
idea
was
of like
cool.
what Batman should be able to do.
We've never seen Keaton kick ass like this.
No, Keaton's like. In those movies, he is just standing there for
It's
a second and
that's-
just
yeah.
like,
Oh
yeah.
I rewatched Batman yesterday.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh man, this is kind of like there's a part in the beginning when he goes up against Joker when he's Napier or whatever.
Yeah.
He just like comes in. You think he's gonna like drop in and kick him. But he just like kind of like walks up and like punches him.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
That's still my favorite Batman
I think
movie.
of that.
Oh,
I think
I
of
love
that
it.
scene
I
in
love
the alley when he's fighting the guy with. Is it the alley where he's fighting the guy with the swords?
Yeah.
and he just kicks him in the he's doing all this the stuff, and then just throws one kick
It's
to the
Indiana
face.
Jones.
And
Yes, right.
Yeah.
and there's a head nod when you watch that scene. Watch it.
Yeah,
Keaton gives like a head nod.
I was like, go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's
fun.
there, and I mean, I saw
so
it. I
good.
saw it in the theater, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's unfortunate," but it's still there. It's
That's
like
so
if
good.
you were gonna fix something in the movie,
Take that out.
take that out.
Just like half a
The
millisecond
cue
of time, right?
to,
right.
to the stunt man.
It
I'm
doesn't-
ready.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but when he says you want to get nuts, let's get.
I
nuts.
hated it.
do not-
I hated it so
I
much.
do not like reusing nostalgic catchphrases in movies.
It's
like
a-
that.
because like that wouldn't really mean anything to him.
yeah.
Like he's
It only meant something to him.
yeah.
In the
I
room.
mean, he was
Nobody
going
else
crazy
like,
at that
what are
time
you
and pretending
talking
to be
about?
nuts. And I guess maybe he adopted it as one of his, but I don't know. It just
Yeah.
clearly we know it's for the fans, and
Yeah,
it just
I thought that was cringeworthy.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like it. I mean,
So
his
they-
delivery was, I think, as good as you could
Yeah,
do.
because he undersold.
because he
Yes.
understood.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it exists just
Yeah.
No, no thanks. So they
So
go
they get
in.
nuts?
They get nuts. I do like that. Barry earlier in the movie, Barry says, "Look," Snyder Barry says, "You cannot move people at super speed. Like you're gonna mess them up."
Yeah.
So there's a scene where guy is firing like multiple rounds, and new Barry's like trying to like do things with Snyder versus. Finally, he's like, "Screw it," and just grabs him and moves him around.
And it's
as
like,
soon
I
as
did
he's-
just for a second. I just it
as
wasn't-
soon as he saw, and of course now Snyder Barry can't stop throwing
Yeah.
up. Like
Yeah.
it's Keaton comes down and just destroys
ass. It's
these
awesome.
guys very
It
easily.
looks really good. Now
It
this
does look
scene
really
with
good.
clearly stunt doubles looked good. Like you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
No, I think it looked really
and he's
good.
doing Batman stuff with grappling hooks, and I mean
Yeah,
he's
it's
using his
not-
tools.
Yeah, he's,
I will say in the kitchen scene, I think part of the hiding because they were still trying to pretend like we didn't know who that was.
Oh.
So they wanted their reveal.
Oh,
Right.
like they weren't like they didn't think that in the marketing he was going to get the entire marketing package.
It could have been a surprise,
dude.
which would have been amazing.
I was going to say, let me tell you right now, if they never told you Keaton was back as Batman, that'd be the
huge.
biggest pop in a
For
movie
sure.
theater of
Yeah.
all time in history.
Yeah, I
If they-
agree.
But
I
they'll never
agree.
do it again.
And
They'll
it's
give
too
you
much money.
right?
Too much
exactly.
money.
But the thing is like they didn't do it with No Way Home with the Spider-Man and that, and it worked.
Marvel
Right.
knows.
And
Because Marvel's got built-in.
Yeah.
juice.
Yeah.
That's the. But you're right. That's when you lose your mind because you don't ever expect to see someone again. And that would have been cool. But
Well, I think the best thing about No Way Home is we knew that they would be in it, but we just had both
They'd
both
be like
actors.
co-stars of the film.
Yeah,
Right.
both actors
And
were
more
like,
like a
We're geeks, so
Right.
we knew we had heard rumors for a while.
yeah.
But
most people.
most
didn't.
people went in not knowing
That would've been
those people-
crazy.
I mean, later on, I'm sure most people did.
Yeah.
But
Right.
like that first couple weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
people were losing their minds. That was great.
That's a great when he walks through that portal. Both of them.
Yeah,
So good.
think if you could do that with this, and
what I'm
all of a
saying,
sudden
man.
That would've been
pops
huge.
Up. Yeah, it would have been great.
The buzz, the word of mouth buzz, might have been worth more than all those ads with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
may have helped that box office.
It's such a gamble.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, you
Big
don't
time.
know. It was tracking out of CinemaCon to make 140 million, and now it's supposed to open to 70 million.
That's crazy,
So,
dude.
yeah.
That's and I want James Gunn to work. I want this to work. I want it, but
But you can't attach
Boy, oh
him
boy.
to this failure. at
Well,
this
I mean,
point.
that's why
no,
he's,
but I think it shows an overall exhaustion with this franchise.
with this brand,
it shows you
right.
they need
Yeah.
to reboot ASAP.
that's
Or
why
I-
Gunn is starting on the fringes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
he's-
starting
he's
with the Creature
starting-
Commandos and the Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
and
he's starting out.
Yeah,
there.
Just like Guardians.
I
He knows
do-
what he's
Lowers
doing.
expectations.
I mean,
Well, just like you know,
Iron
he did
Man.
Polka
Yeah,
Dot
totally
Man.
like
It's
Iron Man.
like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna be like, Polka Dot Man.
Nobody expects Blue Beetle to open to $150 million.
Right.
No.
If it ekes out $150 million, they're going to call it a win.
right,
Right.
for
That's,
sure.
That's top tier DC is the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
James Gunn's,
James Gunn,
that's up
Suicide
in the
Squad?
top tier. That's
Yeah.
a good.
He's right. I do think this universe needs to start with Superman, and then you can kind of do whatever you want to do from there on out. Yeah. So they
Get Kara.
if he makes a good Superman movie, it'll spread out
Yeah.
to the entire.
it'll
Yeah.
erase all the ill
if
will.
if Superman bombs, this is just as dead in the water as.
I don't disagree at all. So we find Kara, and she is, small and gaunt,
Just like
and
Clark in the
just like
comics,
Clark in the
yeah.
comics. They get, and Barry knows, Snyderverse Barry knows, we got to get her into the sunlight. As soon as we do that,
Which one of the best effects of the movie
Is her
when
growing?
when they put her in the sun
Yeah.
and she starts like.
did they do that in BVS? Did they do like a Dark Knight Returns kind of thing where he's all gaunt and stuff, and he flies up into space
think
and
so.
gets?
I
Is that
remember
BVS or
seeing
is that
him
Justice?
his face like.
I try not to watch that movie.
Yeah, you know, it's like
It's totally for the
I
best.
do think he flies
I
up.
don't really want to think about it.
I think that they
He flies
do
up
like,
like next to the sun and gets
yeah,
powerful,
and he
yeah.
comes
Let's
back.
say yeah.
Yeah, well,
Cool,
but
cool.
cool Supergirl ass kicking scene. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
again, the CG's
punching
weird. Like
but
it's kind of
like
stretchy.
But it's like comic book weird. You know what I mean? That's more the CG
Yeah, that
we're used to.
was one of the special. I didn't.
Yeah,
That didn't bother me nearly as much as the time
it looks
travel.
Yeah,
it looks
sure.
stylized.
It felt
It
more
looked-
like a stylistic choice, not
Yeah,
a failed
sure.
at our
I think the
jobs.
best scene of that is somebody fires a bullet at Batman, and she flies in and like flicks the bullet out of the way, and then grabs the gun and smashes the guy
Oh
in the
man,
face.
it
I was like,
sends it
that's very
flying.
cool. It's
And
very cool.
Batman stopping bullets with his cape, his bulletproof
Yeah,
cape.
no, I think
like that.
all of it's
Yeah.
good. And
They
then
get her back to Wayne Manor
yeah, and she's just like, nah,
Yeah, pass.
see ya.
because she's like humans.
Which does make sense.
It does.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the upbringing that Clark did.
She says, "I'm not
Yeah.
human." She
And
got
you
to,
and you humans imprisoned me in a
as soon as she
in a
got to Earth
dungeon.
as a baby.
She's
Yeah.
been in
Right.
solitary her entire life.
Yes.
Pretty much.
So I get it.
So she's like, no, I'm
Yep.
good. And then she, of course, we get the recreation of the scene in. So in Man of Steel, when Zod and not Ursa come off the ship,
And
is
the big
he
guy.
Ursa.
and not Non?
Yeah.
Is he there? Clark's there waiting for them, right?
I'm pretty
Isn't that
sure
the thing? Because
he's-
because they're just like either he shows up here now,
Well, yeah, but
or
don't they fight?
because he puts him on
In
the
Man of
ship.
Steel, don't they end up fighting on like
In a-
Anytown Street? That
in a
Yeah.
Kmart.
the same
Or in a
Anytown
Sears.
Street
Yeah,
that
you mean
they
Smallville, where they destroy all of Smallville?
all of Smallville, but it's also like they also did the Anytown Street in the first Thor, and then it also looks like the Anytown Street. Like
Yeah.
how many times have they fought
Right,
on
right.
that same
Yeah.
stretch of road
That's true. There's that one
that
stretch.
has barbershop
And Sears.
and
IHOP and
and,
Sears.
Oh, yeah.
you know
By the-
diner.
By the way, one of my favorite Twitter takes that I saw the other day was the chick Kryptonian.
Not Ursa.
yeah, not
Ursa.
Nursa.
Mursa.
They were
Nursa.
complaining about how they took away a breakout role and the best female villain ever created.
Oh
on
my
film or
God.
whatever. And like this person was dead serious.
Wow.
And, like,
Who was that actress though? Because she was like,
it was a Snyder bot type person.
oh,
Yeah,
of course,
right,
of
right,
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure when this scene happens in Man of Steel, Clark is there.
Yeah.
And he stops whatever happens. In this scene, it is Michael Shannon as Zod, sort of.
Well, he definitely zoomed in some of this performance, like
Yeah.
where his face is in the helmet.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Looks
Looked
better
like-
than Mark
He
Ruffalo.
looked like MODOK.
He did look like
well, it's a little better, but
I don't think he was there at all because that helmet never comes off.
No.
but I
yeah,
do
yeah.
think when he's with Kara that there is a little bit more of Kara and Shannon might have done a day
Maybe.
together. But when he's just doing the stuff in
Yeah,
the
maybe.
face,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But when he's doing the stuff with the face, clearly it's just
Right.
like, hey,
I
can you
love
go
how
to
Michael Shannon's like, I hate this stuff, but pay
Oh,
me.
yeah, right.
Yeah, just
Right.
pay me.
I'll take
Whatever.
that paycheck. It's
Gotta
fine.
respect it.
It's fine. Yeah. So Kara is like off miles away. She sees Zod start taking out the military, and I do like that they kind of keep Kara's story intact, where they were sent together, and her ship gets knocked off course, and then she's like, "I was supposed to protect
So why
you."
is her blood the key now instead of?
It's just
It's just whatever Barry
yeah,
did in
that's a
the
good
Yeah.
point.
because they say, I mean, so we'll, basically, okay. So here's
because
the
he
deal.
said because Keaton
Well, don't
says
forget
time
the
goes,
the
We're
bad.
that's
the
where
bad
yeah.
kite.
So
yeah.
Snyder Barry realizes that he needs to get his powers back. So they set up back to the future it. They clock tower it
And he
where
survives a lightning.
he
strike.
takes
the same as
he
Flashpoint.
takes the first strike and it doesn't work. So now Kara shows back up. She's like, "You were right. We're gonna help you." She flies him up into the sky. He gets hit by a lightning bolt again. And then in the comic books, he does die, but it takes a second for everything to kick back
I mean,
in.
it kind of does in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kinda the same,
Same
yeah.
thing. And then it kicks back in. He gets his suit back. All right, we're gonna go
You
fight.
you see the lightning strike,
Which I do
basically.
like that. Like I like that. Like initially,
healing away.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool. So we fight in the desert. We're gonna go fight in the desert. All of our heroes are together.
Keaton takes him in the Batwing, does the Bat
Sounds
logo.
a little dirty when you say it like that.
Oh, yeah.
Takes him in the Batwing.
Takes him in the Batwing.
They do that cool shot where he flies up in front of the moon. That was
The
a
back
nice.
of a Volkswagen.
And this is Newberry has always kind of been a dummy this entire time. So this fight is not going well. Like they are
Right.
constantly losing. Batman dies. Spoilers for this entire movie. He dies a lot. Like they keep killing him over and over and over.
It's got a little bit of that Dormammu.
A little bit.
And they're doing the time machine thing.
Yeah.
Like I brought up the remake of the Time Machine, which I love when Guy Pearce is trying to.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to save his fiance, and everything he does, she dies over and over and over.
That movie, it's so unintentionally funny though, because it's like she gets run over by a carriage, she gets shot, a stack of bricks fall on her, an anvil falls, she goes through a manhole. I mean, it's just like that. He keeps going
it is
back in
unintentional.
time.
But what I love about this is it. Damn it!
All right, I'll be right back.
But it just shows like him like being driven to madness over trying to change the
No, you're
past.
absolutely right.
And I really love. I just love that whole thing, and I think Guy Pearce is so good in it. That's a good one to me. But
Batman does kind of give us the rules for time travel with his spaghetti or whatever.
Oh no, he does. You're right.
With the intersections, and it's basically a messy time travel type thing where but there's certain points at an intersection that are always going to happen no matter what.
That's why, another Doc Brown
events,
thing.
if you will.
He's Doc Brown. He's doing the same. But that's the thing where he says that time moves backwards and forward. So when he changes the past, it actually goes back and changes the past. He says.
Yeah, it's basically you get alternate dimensions.
But you don't usually get this. You don't usually change the past. This was
I
think was unique in this time travel movie. Is somehow the whole thing changes.
Yeah, I do like the spaghetti thing where he's got like two pieces. And he's like, all right, you did this. You think it's going to go this way, but then you just diverge.
And then he just dumps the whole pot. And it's like
try unweaving that.
Yeah. So. Unfortunately, Kara dies. Like the whole point, obviously, from Man of Steel is that Jor-El put everything that was Krypton into Baby Clark.
Yes.
And then
except for the thumb drive.
Correct. And that Clark was the key to bring back Krypton, which is what Zod was after.
I was just like, don't bring, man, I swear to God, if you guys bring back that Kryptonian thumb drive, I'm going to have a problem.
I lost Joe. I'm the only one that still likes Man of Steel here.
I like parts of Man of Steel.
Okay, thank you.
But I do not like that movie in general.
What a difference
I
from the
stand
first
by,
episode,
I think
man.
Michael Bay would have been the better choice.
Oh my goodness.
The Snyder? We're all here because of Snyder.
I know. Well, if you're talking about changing the timeline, but
yeah, right. Yeah,
no,
there's a timeline where Michael Bay
what
did direct that
timeline
movie.
would we be on? And Michael Bay, of all things that he's going to direct in the superhero realm, Superman is appropriate.
That's fair.
Or we could get good Transformers movies earlier.
No, because then in this alternate world, Snyder directs the Transformers movies.
You gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So in this world, Kara has the
Snyder
codex.
would make a decent Transformer.
It would look great.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's all you really want anyway.
That's all the Transformers really need.
That's true.
But so the point is, this is one of those events that Batman explains that you cannot change.
This
right?
world is doomed no matter what.
And especially, but Kara's gonna die. Batman is set to die. There's no changing that.
Yeah, he even says this world is dead.
Yeah, I think when he dies the 9 millionth time, Barry finally is like, "Can you stop this? Like, look, this is going to happen whether we want it to or not."
Mm-hmm.
And
the berries to each other, right?
No. Bruce says that to Snyder Barry when he's holding him when he fights not Non.
Yeah,
and he's all bloodied up, and he tells Barry, he's like, "You brought me back, but this needs to happen."
Man, that was a tearjerker.
It's a good one. It's a good.
Keaton got to come back. He's like, "You did bring me back." I'm like, "That's a cool."
It was cool. So our Barry realizes that he has screwed this whole thing up, and he has to let his mom die. The only way to set this right is my mom has to die.
But Newberry has grown up with his mom, so
Correct.
that's a much bigger deal. I mean, obviously they both care, but this one knows his mom.
Well, he hasn't had time to process it like Snyderberry.
Right. So
he's gonna have some time.
He's got time now. So they run into the Speed Force. They start changing time. They're trying
CG dome.
The CG dome.
CG dome. Man, that's weird. The one time you see Cavill, he looks worse than the mustache removal.
Isn't that amazing?
It's the CG.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's just
it's real bad. So Newberry is constantly leaving Old Barry in the Speed Force.
He's like, you just standing there?
Yeah,
Never
and he's
left?
going back and he's trying to save him, and he just can't do it. He cannot do it. Finally, Snyder Barry says, "Look, I hear you. I understand, but mom's got to die." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to do it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And it's a good moment. And then here comes Dark Flash, who we should say, I did kind of like this moment. Is there's a scene when they're fighting the Kryptonians and Barry gets his arm, we think is going to get his arm cut off, but he's got a giant claw that ends up getting stuck in his arm, and he realizes that he can kill the Kryptonians with this piece of
And every
alien
time
tech.
he goes back, he starts getting more in his
More and more.
body, and you start to recognize, wait a minute, that bad one has all these same
As soon as
things
I
to-
saw that first one, I'm like, oh, yep,
that's him.
definitely
There it
him.
Which
is.
is a
That's what
cool
we're doing.
twist.
It
that
is a
it's
good
like
twist,
He
yeah.
is the villain because he's trying to go back. It's like
What's
he.
the third time? Because that Buzz Lightyear.
Oh,
it is,
yeah.
you're right, yeah.
Lego
Man, I
movie,
forgot about Buzz
Lego
Lightyear.
Movie 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
They
it's
go
like
back in time in that movie?
The villain ends up being the
Oh my
Chris
gosh,
Pratt
you're right.
from
Oh,
the future.
yes,
Lego
you're right,
2
you're
and Buzz
right.
Lightyear.
Yeah.
It's the same,
Man,
so
that's
he's
right,
the
that's
villain.
right.
So I like that though that he's so obsessed with changing the past and he can't see what he's doing and he's destroying a whole world because of it.
Well, because he's doing that, he is now collapsing the multiverse, and this is
This is where
this
you
is
get
the scene where you get
cameo verse.
Yeah, you get was it George Reeves as Superman,
Yeah.
Adam
Black
West
and white,
Batman,
yeah.
Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl, which also they were never on screen together.
Right.
Like that never happened.
But they were supposed to.
They were
exist.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
They were supposed
But
to
I
be.
mean that idea is fine because they exist in the same
Yeah,
universe.
no, I don't have a problem with that.
But it just is so tacky the way it's done.
I know I liked the Nick Cage spider
I
thing.
loved
I was
it.
like, that's hilarious.
It was the best
You know what?
looking one.
Honestly, what I wish they would do with that is they own that script,
Animate it? Yeah.
animate it. Let the original people that they were going to do it do the voices. Christopher Walken as Brainiac and Nick Cage as Superman.
Come on,
Wow.
James. Wow, your powers.
So yeah, and all of these worlds are starting to collide, and I was like, well, if you're going to kill the multiverse and you're going to start over, literally blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad Flash basically says like, you keep trying to stop us. You're the only one that stops us from doing this. So you got to go. And then young Barry has his little change of heart. He realizes how destructive this is.
Right.
And he jumps in front of our good
in front of himself.
in front of himself. But by then taking the bullet, so to speak, he never exists to
He
do
kills
the-
himself in the past, and then
Yeah.
It repairs everything.
Dark Flash.
He
disappears.
loopered it.
Yes, he
see?
did looper it. That's
I was
exactly
like,
right.
oh,
one
well,
of the
that's
best
that.
time travel movies
Very good.
ever. So
very,
good.
very good.
So Barry realizes what he has to do. So he goes back to the past
With tags on.
with tag, which I did like. Where he's just like grabbing clothes.
Man, this was a good scene.
This
Another
is,
one of
see,
those
now,
dramatic
this is what I'm saying.
This
is
is
like
one of the best scenes in the movie in
It's
terms of
heartbreak.
Yeah.
there are bits of this movie where I was like, okay, like this is
It's the drama.
Right.
The character moments are good.
He has a conversation. Earlier in the movie, what he does is he takes that can of tomatoes and puts it in his mom's cart, negates the whole thing. In this one, he realizes he's going to have to send his mom to die. So he has a very tender moment with his mother. And when he speeds up, grabs the can of tomatoes and puts it back. Now, we talked about it earlier, is that there's security cam footage of Barry's dad where he never looks up and they can't prove it. So in this one, which I think is it's
It's a neat little switcheroo they did.
I like this.
Because
What
I
I-
don't show
it was
it,
well
but
done,
you
yeah.
know he looks up at the camera.
What I like about this is Bruce tells him the butterfly effect, basically. And he's doing things that are going to change things, but like he's not
just
in
a tweak.
just a tweak.
But
you know?
only for the very future. They're not going to change things like him
Correct.
never becoming the Flash.
Right.
His dad's still going to go to jail. The mom's still murdered, but we can get him out of jail a little earlier.
Right.
You know, like it's things that are going to make life better, but they're not going to change anyone else's.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
what we think.
But
That's
I
what
mean,
we think.
But,
That's
well,
true.
but then, in fact, if his dad gets out earlier, we know it's going to change something.
It's going to get his
Well,
dad
yeah.
out of jail.
but it's
is
not
really
going
what
to
it comes
collapse
down
the
to.
universe.
No, it's not going
basically
to collapse
is
the universe. But I
Right.
mean, that's also, I think, why we got the cameo we got, which is funny because the person who told him about the butterfly effect is,
erased from
it's like, well,
Yeah.
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 I mean, something changed.
He's been erased.
A small thing. He put, I don't know. And that's why I was
But
like,
I guess the
did he just
difference
put
is-
one can up there or did he move all
Yeah,
the
I think,
cans?
I think he moved them all up
He had to
there.
move them all, but it's also like
No, he
not-
went back and changed the planogram at the headquarters.
He put it on the end.
Right.
Yeah, but he's also not changing his past. He's trying to change what will be his future.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
which is why the world doesn't collapse.
right.
He almanacked it. It's,
Yeah.
it's the sports almanac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about Project.
I was definitely not, which I think all of us were all in that show.
I was an early one.
The
That was like
Project
episode
Almanac.
16
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
A bad,
yeah.
That's a bad movie. He goes back to the future or his present, and he's like, everything seems normal, and then he realizes he has to get to court, so he goes, and of
He
course
gets his sandwich.
he does get his sandwich.
I think I read that was the director he steals.
He steals the hot dog.
Yeah,
from
it's
it.
from Andy Muschietti. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I pointed out to Kevin Did anybody else catch Jamie Lannister in?
Yeah.
No.
I did.
Yeah.
But what a weird cameo.
Apparently, he's in Muschietti's first movie.
Mama?
Yeah, so they're
That's right.
friends.
Oh, okay.
And so he
Okay.
just for fun. But there was rumors for a while that he was going to be
Zoom.
Yeah,
Or
Zoom.
Zoom.
That's what and I guess they could still do that. Yeah, it's
that'd
still,
be funny if that was the instant that created Zoom.
After you told me that, I
this is
remembered when
food.
I was in the theater that I caught someone that I thought looked familiar, and I realized I did, but I didn't know it was him. But like I recognized.
You know what I wish they honestly that scene when we see Jay Garrick. I wish that Linda Carter had been there, like doing the Justice Society.
That would have been cool.
Like that
If
doesn't.
they would have had Linda Carter at the end, at least they would have been like, cool.
'Cause she did a cameo in Wonder Woman too.
She plays Wonder
Yeah.
Woman's
so
mother.
like she's still doing stuff. Why
yeah,
not? Yeah. that'd
I was like, well, you're doing the Justice
Why
Society.
do we not have Linda Carter?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
She's alive
Of
still.
all
Why
of
did? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So's Helen Slater.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying. I mean,
Okay,
gotta
yeah,
cut the
but I
line
mean, they
somewhere.
had Adam West in there, Christopher Reeve, and
they
George
probably
Reeves.
can't
and-
bring in a real Helen Slater because it would look so weird next to
Right.
all the CGI.
She's just an older Supergirl.
Yeah.
Or just don't do
Well,
Christopher
not in
Reeve.
not in that cameo scene.
That's true.
Right.
That's
yeah,
fair.
my point is that they did bring the look of Helen Slater back. I'm
Yes.
saying we didn't
Yeah,
get
they
any
brought
Diana, but
Right.
So when they
19.
do these type of cameos, like with Christopher Reeve, like does the estate
Oh,
get like
they
a
have
like
to-
a
they've
good
got to.
payout?
The
Like,
likeness. Okay, yeah, we can all thank Crispin Glover for this.
Yeah. I was like,
we
Back
had
to-
the guy on the show.
Back to the
Yeah.
Future.
Back to
Yeah.
the Future too.
Our friend
Yeah.
Jeffrey
yeah.
Wright.
Yeah,
Westman,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Because,
they have to pay for that
I
likeness.
remember that. Yeah.
because they screwed him on Back to the Future too
Yeah,
by
yeah.
using his likeness, casting a lookalike.
I wonder how much
And,
that
sound alike.
costs
Yeah.
and like what the negotiations for something like that go, because like it's not like integral to the movie. Like they could go without
Sure.
it, but like
Right.
is it like, hey, we'll throw you $100,000 and we can use his likeness for
I wonder.
5 seconds?
I think unfortunately, I think it's just his son because I think his wife died too.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's just Christopher Reeves' son. I'm sure he's like, okay.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of. I mean, I was trying to pay attention to the credits at the end just to see, like, you know,
man.
the thanks to the families or whatever.
Yeah.
Because
I
There's a
saw
lot.
in the credits that there were 3 brothers with the last name of Gooch in the art direction. I was like, that's cool.
the Gooches.
Yeah, the Gooch brothers.
They
are
were
here.
all like spread out through different art departments, and I'm like, is this like
They
one
spread
of those
their
weird,
gooch?
crazy,
Jimmy Gooch.
crazy like
Johnny
credits
Gooch.
where like it's just like a fake name they put in for this, or like because I'm like that's kind of weird. It's like Ace Gooch and like Alan Gooch, and then there was like the person who was in charge of vehicles was named like Tyler Ferrari or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I was like, all
from the
right.
Ferrari family. That's how they got those cars. So yeah, of course now Barry
back to
is
normal.
It's all sort of.
Well,
Barry plays the footage, and of course now Barry's dad looks up, and it negates the entire thing. His sentence
There's a
is
murmur through the whole.
I do like that there's so
oh,
much.
it's Ron Livingston as his dad.
Which is I like
Yeah.
Billy Crudup as his
I
dad,
did
but I
too.
think there was a scheduling thing
That's what
that
they
couldn't
said.
do
There's a
it.
scheduling thing.
The schedule is I had tea time with Zack Snyder.
Yeah, it was. There was a memo.
That's pretty good.
They used the new fact sheets for the TBS
He's a
reports.
Snyder guy.
I
so.
do think it's hilarious that there's this much press around a murder conviction getting overturned.
Yeah.
Like all of the press is there and the courtroom
Yeah.
is full. And I was like, I've been to these hearings. There's like 5 people, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
if
especially
that-
when it's not like anybody knows he's the Flash. Like it's not like there's a celebrity element to this
no,
trial.
not
Yeah.
at all. Not at
Yeah.
all. And of course, that negates the sentence.
But there's no moment with them. How weird is it that he clears his dad's name
And then he goes
there's
outside.
No,
nod.
there's no follow up
Yeah.
of them hugging or
See you,
anything.
Dad.
It's just a really weird thing, like in like movie rules. Like why would you not show them?
Right.
Well, also because like, where's his dad gonna go? He's been in prison for like
Well,
a decade.
There's a process.
Yeah.
He's going to go
Yeah.
back to the prison he was at and get released from there. That's what, and then I guess
You don't
we'll-
get just to walk out of the courtroom.
no,
No, they have to
They got it. You have to go back to the prison you were at.
get
and
your stuff you came in with.
discharged
and-
from that prison, and
You
then
can keep it. It's been 10 years. It doesn't fit me anymore.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Good.
So he goes outside and he has this interaction with Iris,
It's like
who
that Peter Gabriel song. You can keep my stuff. They came to take me home.
has an interaction, and this is a different. Like Barry has changed for the most part.
Why does Iris like him? Is she just like?
Well, I didn't think they had good chemistry.
They
at
had
all.
no chemistry.
When you look at the Flash in the TV show, it's great chemistry.
Even John Wesley shipping the Iris on that show.
Except for it wasn't. Well, yeah. until
Same until they
well,
introduced Tina McGee.
I was like, yeah, Iris, like pretty much in the first episode, you're
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh yeah, they weren't going to keep her very long.
No. But didn't they bring that character, Dr. McGee, like into the TV show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's cool. That's good
And
stuff.
his buddy from the lab too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh man, see, that show's great. Both of them.
Yeah.
So he's walking away, and Iris is
Calls
like, well,
Bruce on the phone. Thanks.
yeah,
my
I think
dad's
he's like,
out.
hey, and then of course we see this car, and when I
and
heard
I was
this,
like,
when I heard the voice,
is-
and I was like, well, that's not Ben Affleck.
So it's weird.
And I was like, I swear to God,
This one I caught no wind of. I could
if
not
this
believe
is
this
if
happened.
this is Christian Bale, I'm gonna my pants.
Yeah.
It's not.
He did
It's-
have a lisp.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's George Clooney,
Which is great.
which is a
As soon as
fantastic
the phone
cameo.
call started, I was like, "Oh, this should be George Clooney."
It's
I really hope George Clooney's cool enough to say yes to something.
And
I mean, this was a great reveal. I thought it's
I did not. I get spoiled. I was spoiled on the Christopher Reeve thing.
I was
me too.
spoiled on the Nicolas Cage thing.
So was I.
Oh,
I was
dang.
like, damn it.
But this one they didn't. And I heard that there was a secret ending. This one must not have screened. This must be the secret one.
Okay.
There was when they showed all the previews in CinemaCon, it was the ending was removed from it, and so I'm guessing
That's the
that
way to do it.
This part, because we didn't get spoiled,
yeah,
on it had to be.
I
there.
had no idea it was coming, so it made me laugh out loud.
I laughed out loud too. I think it's great that he
especially
did it.
knowing how much George Clooney hates
Yes.
having done that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very open, and like he's never like regretful or anything, but
Yeah.
he acknowledges what a piece of shit it is, and like,
But the thing is it's not his fault.
It's not his
No.
fault.
Like,
He was doing what he was told.
He was a great Bruce Wayne.
He's a great. I mean, he is Bruce.
That's
Wayne.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he's the closest thing we
Besides
have to
Affleck. I
Bruce
think-
Wayne in real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
Yeah.
Affleck is close as what was.
Yeah.
Like that younger Affleck was very much like, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
George
Clooney to
George
me
Clooney
seems like
is
the-
absolutely Bruce Wayne
and
to
so
a T.
like if they've got a version where he comes back as Batman,
sans nipples.
But
yes.
that means though that if this universe continues at all, George Clooney is the Batman.
Yeah.
Like they've
And I
now
do-
solidified. They can't like that's it.
I do like
He's
that Barry's
Batman.
like looking at him. He's like, Bruce. He's like, yeah. He's like, you're.
He's like, yeah, what?
He's like,
He's like,
you're,
what's wrong with you?
He goes, you're Batman. Clooney. Man, that guy looks amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the beard and everything. But I do like that Barry is like openly saying you're Batman, and Clooney's like, can you shut up? Like, what is wrong with you? And of course, this is where we get the F-bomb, and his tooth falls out from earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's how this ends.
Clooney seems more than willing to like self-deprecate and like
Yeah.
If you want a good podcast episode of Smart List,
Yeah.
the George Clooney episode where he's talking about like all the pranks he's pulled on Richard Kind over the apparently Richard Kind is like one of his best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's fun.
And like big art pranks and things like that. Like
He's such a notorious
yeah,
prankster.
it's great.
He does that
It's
to
worth a
Damon and
listen.
Brad Pitt, and
Yeah.
he pranks them all like elaborate because he's got the money and he loves it.
Yeah, he was like roommates with Richard Kind for a while too. Like I'm like that's
They're the
not
same age?
I'm not I think they were like on a TV show for a little bit. They're not. They're like 10 years apart or something like
Richard
that.
Kind was his RA.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then that's how this ends, and then there's a post-credit sequence
Oh,
of
we could have done without this.
unless
This
it was
was-
Lobo.
Yeah,
This was
I
horrible.
This
like-
makes no sense. I don't know why we did this.
It's just a tease for the next movie is Aquaman too. But
But like
it's
it doesn't
horrible.
even
But it doesn't
set
do
up
anything.
It doesn't set up
Yeah.
anything. Like I
no,
was just
but
like,
the after credits is the jokey one though. So like,
yeah, but because we did,
But what was the joke?
But because we didn't
That he's
get
a drunk?
right? Because we didn't get a traditional
Yeah.
mid-credit setting something up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought like this would still it was going to.
I mean, I guess it does establish because he does say, like you're the same, but he hints that there are other people who have changed other than just Batman.
right.
it's to show you that he's still Aquaman and remind you there's a movie coming out in
Yeah.
December. But I think they didn't want to do too much because if Aquaman's the last one, they can't like.
It is the last one though.
I want to know
you-
when that
okay,
was
but-
filmed
yeah.
too. If that was filmed all along, or if this was
It is
after
weird.
the gun.
It is
stuff.
weird though because those two actors are always the only ones that come back. They're the only two that are in Peacemaker. They're the only two. Like they establish kind of a friendship between them in the Justice League stuff. But it is interesting that like okay, we're just gonna double down on Barry and
Hey,
Arthur?
Shazam's in Peacemaker, so that's part of
no
coming back. What?
Peacemaker's in Shazam.
Oh, okay.
Barry, Ezra Miller, and Jason Momoa show up at the last scene of Peacemaker.
Yeah.
When the rest of the Justice League shows up, and he's like, "Thanks for showing up." And then
I was just thinking
The rest
'cause I
of
was
them are in shadows.
yes, except for those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mid-tier DC is fair.
It was entertaining, but
I had a good time with
It had a lot of good moments.
It was better than the second Shazam.
Yes.
And that's how I
it
felt.
was 100% better
I
than
was
that.
like,
Absolutely.
I honestly thought it was going to be like I was like, I'm ready to be surprised.
And were you?
Because of the advanced buzz, you
Yeah.
know, James Gunn,
Stephen King.
like all these
How
people.
much did they pay Stephen King for that?
Because this guy directed
It and it too.
Yeah.
He's made Stephen
he
King millions
did.
of dollars,
He
dude.
absolutely
He's this guy.
did.
And this
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
I mean, there's things that I like about this movie. It's weird that the quiet parts are the parts that I really like
Yeah.
more. The action, especially the CGI, really like right off the bat, I was like, I'll give it to the baby thing is like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's valid, and I
Yeah.
would totally buy that. The Speed Force thing is weird.
The theater, the weird
it's
theater.
just and since it's like in this repeated pattern. It just like shows,
It's like
it's like
kaleidoscope.
amplifies how bad it looks.
Yeah.
because it's not
There's
like
100 of
one
them,
bad
yeah.
CGI Henry Cavill, but it's like 100 of them, and you're like, everyone looks terrible.
I think if they
and
wanted-
the Uncanny Valley thing gives me the willies anyway, so it's just like, ugh.
If they wanted it to be stylized and an artistic choice, they had to go way into it and make it look so different.
Yeah.
But they say it's supposed to be from the Flash's point of view, but like we see the Flash, so it's not his point of view. Like
Yeah.
I don't. It's weird.
He tried.
or make
Yeah.
him look like that.
yeah.
Well, they kind of does, but I don't know. There's a lot of really weird CGI in this movie.
Oh,
Like,
and when he pokes his head out, that's weird too.
yeah.
Oh yes. I
I mean, it was weird before in that BVS or whatever it was.
Oh, when he pops out.
Yeah,
But it looked
And it's-
just like, what is it? Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
Love and
the
Thunder.
Head, floating head in the
Yeah.
middle
yeah,
of it.
and
did
it's
look
just
yeah.
like he's like, oh, no, okay, and it's like, oh, that's unsettling.
Did not like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't like the scene.
I'm ready for a hard reboot. I wish they would just get rid of all of them,
Yeah.
even though I like some of the actors. But I mean,
Yeah.
this universe needs a
Here,
hard
but if you
reboot.
look at the slate of things that are coming, right? So we're gonna have Creature Commandos, Superman, The Authority, Batman: Brave and the Bold, the Green Lantern TV show, the Amazon's TV show.
Pattinson is still Batman.
But that's an
But that's a
Elseworlds
different-
Batman.
yeah.
I know, but and then what's his name? Still Joker.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know,
I like
it's
one-shots,
10 years,
though,
and
you
I'm
know?
going to say the same damn thing. Stack your deck,
Yes.
and stop doing this.
Yes, I think the Pattinson Batman and I almost said the Heath Ledger Joker, which I got to tell you, glad that didn't show up. I thought
Oh,
for
that
sure we
would've
would
been,
get that.
But if
See,
they
that
brought
would've been-
if they brought in Pattinson and made him the Batman, though,
I mean, fine.
then I mean that would have elevated. You would have been like, okay, they're making a good
Now
choice.
I
here.
got as much as I like the Clooney one. If Pattinson got out of the car and was like, whatever, I was like, oh, okay,
We'd be
Or
saying
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
that would have been interesting.
Oh God damn
Because
it,
I'm
Dan.
still mad about that.
I know.
That would have been good.
But if you look at the characters that they are introducing and the stories that they're going for, the stuff that James Gunn announced, none of them have. There's no Wonder Woman.
Right.
There's no Hawkman. No Aquaman. It's a Batman, Superman, and then characters we haven't seen.
They're
yet.
playing the waiting game to see how these
That's-
do
yeah.
in theaters,
Yes.
whether or not they need to bring them in. And judging by the weekend gross, the hard reboot is
Yeah.
probably
I
on
think
the
that's
way.
yeah.
It's time.
And they're only doing that Elseworld thing with Pattinson is because it was a pretty good movie.
It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
And they're like,
And
well,
and Joker
okay.
Joker won Academy Awards.
And
They
I
made
think
over $1 billion.
Both of those.
Yeah.
And I think Gunn, they were like, you do not get to touch this or this.
Those
I'm
are out.
taking these
Yeah.
off the table.
You can have the rest of
And
it.
he's like, oh, okay.
Fine.
Elseworlds. They had
Yeah,
done.
right.
I think that's
right.
for the best. I don't think those versions of those characters would mesh well in the world
Oh,
they're
no.
building. So
Hey,
like I think
yeah,
that's
it would-
the right call.
No, that
It-
Batman does not work in a superhero world.
Yeah, that Batman doesn't work really in PG-13.
No.
Yeah.
yeah.
Barely PG-13.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's it for this
Happy
one.
anniversary,
Actually, I
everyone.
heard from our construction crew that the salt mines had been.
I thought we had already spoiled
Well,
this
it
video
was
recovery.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
if
we did.
Yeah,
That
we
was so
did.
long
But
ago,
You
I
know
forgot.
what? You want to go to go to YouTube, catch the first episode of the 1990 Flash. It's written by DeMeo and
Mark Guggenheim, right?
No, I'm trying to remember the two writers. There's two guys who wrote The Rocketeer,
Oh, yeah.
and really, it holds up. Great version of the Flash. The suit looks. I mean,
Suit looks
I remember
good.
at the time I think people were like, "Oh, that suit looks weird," and it is kind of got a weird textural thing.
it looked rubbery
But
kind of,
honestly, now having seen how many years of Flash versions and like how many costumes have we seen Ezra Miller in?
Mm-hmm.
That might be the best one.
Yeah. Boy, that show's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, it is of the time. It's very 90s. And the only thing that I think the show, I mean, it was only one season, which is a drag. John Wesley Shipp is doing the talk circuit a lot. He's in a lot of conventions, and there's like a lot of Zooms and interviews with him on YouTube. They're like, well, what happened? And I mean, the only thing that the show was kind of guilty of is that they didn't want to have goofy villains. So they didn't
really
have
Mark Hamill as the trickster.
Well, that was like one of the first times that they were like, okay, maybe.
Okay.
Because up until then, it's like,
biker gang?
The biker gang.
It's more like a procedural.
Yeah.
They didn't. Flash has always had the goofiest rogues gallery. I mean,
very weird.
It even beats Batman.
Yeah,
that's why it works great in animation.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you right now. If they would have had Captain Boomerang, he would have thrown it.
Yeah, he would have a boomerang.
They would know.
Were you here for that first one?
Yeah.
Yes.
We talked about Captain Boomerang.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's
so
like,
good.
Dude, you get one.
Throw the
You're
boomerang.
named after
One
the
job.
thing.
One job. Which
But-
I also did want to say that one of the writers of this movie, John Francis Daly.
Yeah.
This kid just
I saw that in the
keeps showing up.
credits. I didn't know until the credits.
it's
I'm like,
crazy.
John Francis Daly did
Based
this?
on the other things he's done, I'm assuming he wrote the good
parts,
I
right?
would
'Cause
assume so.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
was great.
It was great.
You write Spider-Man?
And the
Game Night.
Homecoming. Yeah.
Game Night was
Yeah.
so good.
Game Night's great.
But I want to just throw in real quick again, though. Watch the animated, the Justice League
Absolutely.
Flashpoint Paradox. It is excellent. It's almost like an exact.
There's a
adaptation
lot of
from the
differences,
comics.
but it is almost a direct adaptation.
follows
Yes,
it
once
very
again,
well.
we're at the point where the animated version of this DC story is probably better.
Yes. Because they can do more with it.
We've
But
seen it so many
more
times.
leeway.
I think for live action, they pulled this story off for the most part, and I was impressed with that it worked. It wasn't great, but it was
I
entertaining.
liked it. I didn't love it, but I mean,
It's
it was fun.
Yeah, it was
like,
fun.
Like I went in with zero expectations,
Yeah.
so like
When I was hearing all the buzz about the great, I was like,
Well, that's-
no way.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
That's the
Agreed.
part
I
I
was
just
absolutely not.
I just can't believe so many people said that, and especially Gunn. And I know he's got a product to sell, but just because Gunn is such a great filmmaker and
Right.
he's made so many great superhero things, I'm just surprised that even in his position, he said the words.
I think also, again, compared to the other DC movies, I mean, we've
bar's
gotten
real
some
low.
real
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I see I think, compared to a lot of it, this is Citizen
That
Kane.
has all been covered on this podcast.
Yes.
Every single DC
Yeah.
movie from
Yeah.
2013 on.
There you go.
we're
If you
done.
go
We've
back
done
and-
our job,
That's
right?
it.
I
We're
mean,
finished.
we've covered every DC.
One hell of a run, boys.
That's why we started,
We're
right?
only doing foreign films.
Yes.
Just musicals. I'm out.
Yes. Anyway, let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Dan, and I'm not really on Twitter, but you can call me at Dan Graney, GRANEY 67.
I'm Blake Fehl. You can find me on Twitter at not Epic Fail.
I know, he
because
changed it.
Well, I got banned.
What?
Elon Musk banned me. I had a parody Elon
He did the thing.
and so now I'm at Never Fail FEH.
Oh, that works just as well. This is Joe. You can also follow me on the Twitter at Joey Butts, BUTTS21. Also, Real Spoilers and myself are both on Letterboxd now at the same name. Not Real Spoilers. The other one is my name.
21.
At 21, yeah.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett. And thank you, everyone, for listening for 10
Yeah,
years.
10 years, guys. Thank you so much for all the support. It's so good. And here we are.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget, it's been 10 years. If you haven't written a review, maybe you should. That could be
Get on it.
That
Get
could
it
be your
together,
gift
people.
to
And
us.
if you have written one and it's been 10 years, change your name like Blake and write us another good one.
Absolutely. Get banned from Apple and then write a new one.
I haven't gotten a review from Never Fail, so let's hear it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Amber electrocutes Dynamo.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.